Welcome. You are powerful and unique. I have been waiting for you. The karmic circumstance that brought you to this video is not by chance. As you will shortly see for yourself, it is no accident that you are here listening to me now. Everything in your life has happened for a reason. Everything that you have experienced in this life has had one purpose. That purpose is to bring you to this moment with me right now. I know that your journey through life has been difficult and long. You have travailed in multiple lifetimes and learned many things. Now is the time to reap the rewards of all your hard work in your life. Your time is now. The fact that you are here right now listening to me is proof that you are about to embark on a magnificent personal journey of transformation that will make all of the hard work, the toil, and the heartbreak worthwhile. You are about to enter into your true power, a new life of joy, limitless prosperity, health, and love. This is the moment you were born to live. Yes, right now. This is your beginning to a new life of happiness. Over the next few minutes, I am going to reveal to you a life-changing secret that will connect you to your true destiny as a powerful master of your world. A person whose life is infinitely connected to the source of all life, love, and power. This secret will feel like a magic wand that has mysteriously come into your possession. But as you use this wand, you will feel as though this has been your purpose all along. To effortlessly wave your wand and create a new reality. The reality you've always dreamed of. A reality that is ordered, logical, beautiful, and makes sense. You will be able to bring balance, health, and happiness to yourself and all others in your sphere of influence. Because this is your true purpose in the universe. And now, you will know exactly how to manifest this perfect universe of love, healing, and abundance. You'll be able to manifest your perfect body of health and beauty. You will be filled with confidence, peace, and joy. You will be able to attract your true loving family, circle of trusted friends, and create a more intimate and fulfilling relationship with your soulmate. If you're lucky enough to already have a partner in your life, he or she will seemingly transform into an even more perfect version of your ideal soulmate. If you haven't met your true soulmate yet, this magic wand of manifestation will instantly begin to attract him or her to you to begin your most inspiring adventure of love and safety. You will manifest all of these amazing gifts in what feels like the blink of an eye. And this is just the first fruits of your infinite new ability to manifest your ideal world. Once you practice this amazing new magical ability to attract the life of your dreams, you will be able to manifest money into your life as never before. And you will be able to do so whenever you want. Money for a new car, an exotic trip around the world, money for a beautiful new dream house where you will create lifelong happy memories. In fact, as you watch this video to the very end, I am going to prove to you just how powerful a creator you really are. As you watch this video, you will learn that you can create absolutely anything you can imagine. You already have this ability. You just don't know it yet. But by the end of this video, you will know that you are an infinite divine source of creation, and you will have the confidence to live your deepest dreams of love, happiness, health, and prosperity. You will know that you can manifest $500, $1,000, or even $10,000 whenever you need it. I will show you how. Imagine waking up in the morning after watching this video with thousands of dollars that you can use to go on a trip around the world, pay off those pesky bills, buy some new clothes, or perhaps buy your special person a beautiful gift. You will see this can happen for you too, just as I have shown thousands of others how to do the same. We'll get to the exciting details in a moment. First, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Michael William Denny, and for the next few minutes, you can think of me as your guide to your infinite power source. My deepest desire is to introduce you to your highest vibration of your truest self, the part of you that is directly connected to the source of life force energy, the part of you that has a direct connection to the power of pure spirit. I'll reveal to you how I found this path to higher awareness and the resulting gift of magical manifestation that we all have at our deepest core self. Let me ask you something. Wouldn't you like to shed this old false self that we carry around with us that only brings us illusion and confusion? Imagine being and acting from the truest part of yourself that is confident and magical. I will share with you in this video how I discovered this power within myself and how I have helped thousands of others just like you to do the same. So, are you ready to transform yourself from the person you are now to the person you know you are meant to become? If you are ready, then take my hand and follow me to the power within you that will magically turn your desires into spiritual commands that the universe must obey in order to bring you all of your greatest dreams, starting with infinite financial abundance. But before I share that secret with you, I must first share with you my own personal story, my struggles that are probably just like yours, and how I discovered this ability to manifest my wildest dreams. You see, just a few years ago, I was probably a lot like you are now, maybe. I was broke. I was in debt. I was going through bankruptcy and living in a one-room shack in a backyard in South Central Los Angeles. I struggled from month to month just to pay the rent. I was using food stamps to eat. I had gone through a horrible divorce where I lost everything. I lost my brand new 2-story house, my studio, my business, my clients, my marriage, my sanity. I even lost my dog in the divorce. I had nothing. I was all alone. I was 49 years old, riddled with physical pain, and had no idea where I was going in life. I even tried to apply for disability because I was in so much pain. I couldn't even take a normal job down at Walmart. And here I am today, just a few years later, living on the beach in a 2-bedroom house in Southern California. I'm about to travel the world to go surfing. Yes, that's right. All of my physical ailments, the ones that doctors said were a result of aging, that they said would never go away, have completely vanished. I'm healthier, stronger, and happier than I have ever been in my entire life. I make an extremely good living doing only the things that I think are fun. That's right, I don't even really work. I make my own schedule. I work when I want to, doing only what I want to do. I sleep in until I choose to wake up with no annoying alarm clock. I buy whatever the hell I want without having to check my bank balance to see if I can afford it like I used to do. And even though I am 55 years old, I am approached by beautiful young women almost on a daily basis. In fact, just the other day, I swear to you this really happened. I was walking along the beach. I was sunning myself. I had taken my shirt off. And this amazing looking young woman comes walking towards me. It turns out she's a 24-year-old Russian swimsuit model. I kid you not. She was a 24-year-old Russian swimsuit model. She stops me, and in the cutest, sexiest little Russian accent, she calls me Superman. And she asks me if I took steroids to look this good and to be this muscular. Just a few years ago, I was 49. I felt like an old man. I was overweight. I was suffering from so much physical pain I could barely walk. And now I am having to tell 24-year-old Russian supermodels that I'm not on steroids, that I'm actually 55 years old. She didn't believe me. And I'm not telling you this so that, you'll think something of me. I'm not trying to brag about myself. I'm just trying to underscore to you how huge of a change my life has undergone since I discovered this magical 4-step secret to manifestation. And trust me, If I can do it, you can do it. You really can have your perfect life. And even though I'm not a newcomer to the law of attraction or spiritual concepts, I never knew the simple but unknown 4-step formula that some people just naturally understand about how the universe works. You see, there are some people in this world who just naturally attract success. They also have this amazing ability to rebound from tragedy, disaster, and bad luck. Nothing gets these people down. If they want something in life, they just go out and get it. Now, what I learned from analyzing these seemingly super lucky personality types is that they're no different from you and me. The only thing that they do differently from the rest of us is that they naturally operate from all 3 of their minds. Now, here I have to stop and reveal a very powerful secret to you. This is a secret that, to my knowledge, no other law of attraction teachers are telling you about. Now, I don't know if they just don't know about it, or if they're choosing to keep this information from you to keep you coming back to their seminars and buying their books and their DVDs and paying for trips and going on cruises. I honestly can't say what their motive is. But I can say that they are not talking about how to tap into the power of all 3 of your minds. So listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. It is going to completely change your life. If you can understand this secret teaching about how the 3 minds work, you can master the fabric of reality. Okay, here it is. You have 3 minds working simultaneously: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. Now, you've probably heard of the first 2 minds, the conscious and the subconscious mind, but I bet you didn't know there was a 3rd mind, even more powerful and lies even more deeply than the subconscious mind. It is called the unconscious mind. And it is this unconscious mind that controls everything you do and experience. The unconscious mind actually literally creates your physical reality. And if your unconscious mind does not agree with your other 2 minds, nothing will manifest for you. Now, perhaps you're a little confused because virtually 100% of the time when people use the word subconscious, what they really mean is unconscious. Now, like you, perhaps they confuse these terms, the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. I know that I did. But you see, these teachers don't know the difference between the subconscious and the unconscious mind. So when they throw either of those words out, whatever it is that they're saying about the subconscious mind is either incomplete or inaccurate, because you cannot talk about the subconscious mind without understanding the unconscious mind. So, we are going to get to the root of how all of these 3 minds function. And I will explain to you in a minute the difference between the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. Because the law of attraction as it is currently taught by well-meaning teachers is incomplete because, as I said, they don't understand the role of the unconscious mind and how it relates and functions with the subconscious mind. Look, you can go online right now and Google ways to program the subconscious mind, and you're going to get millions of results. And listen, most of them are all going to be very good techniques. And if you're lucky enough to have your unconscious mind being in alignment with your conscious and your subconscious intentions, then you can use those techniques and you will see amazing results. I know because I've done it. But what the vast majority of law of attraction gurus aren't telling you is that if your unconscious mind is not working together with your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, you cannot manifest your intentions, period. End of story. You need all 3 minds working together for the law of attraction to work. This is what I have discovered, and I have found ways to hack into the unconscious mind and reprogram it to cooperate with your other 2 minds so that it will obey your conscious intentions. If those three minds, the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious minds, are working together as a unit, the universe is literally a smorgasbord that responds immediately to your desires. If your three minds are not working together, as I said, then the results of those desires become confused at best. If you are one of those people who has tried to practice the law of attraction, like me, you've gone to all the seminars, you've purchased the subliminal tapes, the binaural beat recordings, you've undergone hypnosis, you've repeated the positive affirmations, you've created a vision board, you've meditated on raising your vibration to attract your desires, and yet nothing has really changed, right? Well, maybe you've had some success, especially in the beginning, but not anymore. Maybe you've had zero results. Or maybe, like some people, your life even got worse. Now, if that isn't you, and you have been able to master the law of attraction from the start, and everything has worked out for you, then you're one of those lucky people who instinctively uses all three of your minds in cooperation with each other, and the universe obeys your intentions. If you are one of those lucky people, listen, I'm very happy for you. Keep doing what you're doing. If it works, don't fix it. You don't need to listen to me. Go do something else. But if you were one of those lucky people, then you probably wouldn't still be watching this video on how to master manifestation, right? You would probably be out manifesting and enjoying your perfect life and spending your millions of dollars. I know I would. So, I said that I would explain to you how the three minds work. Before I do that, let me explain why the law of attraction works some of the time. The law of attraction presumes that there are only two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. Everything you've heard about the subconscious mind is true in regards to manifesting your intention. The subconscious mind is a blank lens that will project your conscious intentions onto the fabric of the universe. When we load the subconscious mind with a suggestion or an intention or a feeling, which all come from the conscious mind, then these things are focused through the lens of the subconscious, and it is projected onto reality like a film is projected onto a movie screen. Now, if we only had the conscious and the subconscious mind, like most people in the law of attraction think exist, then the law of attraction would work every single time. But let's be honest, it doesn't work every single time. Why is that? That's because the unconscious mind must first be in agreement with the conscious suggestion placed into the subconscious mind. So let's talk about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind sits in between the conscious and the unconscious minds. The subconscious mind is a blank slate. It only holds a suggestion for as long as your conscious mind is able to hold on to the idea. When you stop consciously holding a thought or intention, the subconscious mind goes blank again. But the unconscious mind never sleeps. And if the unconscious mind has a different programming than the subconscious mind, the program in the unconscious mind will take over and supersede any intentions that you put into the subconscious mind just a few minutes ago. You see, there's the real problem. The unconscious mind is infinitely powerful. It is, for all intents and purposes, Almighty God. And here's the worst part. You are completely unaware of what is in your unconscious mind. That's why it's called the unconscious. You are not conscious of it. You are unaware of it. And you do not have the conscious ability to simply open up your unconscious mind and see what's in there. You can sit on the edge of your bed, chant positive affirmations all day long for 20 years, and if your unconscious programming that you are unaware of is different from what you are consciously trying to project, you will get nowhere. But here's the good news. There are ancient shamanic methods to hack into the unconscious mind and reprogram it. That's why shamans for thousands of years have always been seen as these powerful, dangerous, magical beings. And the only thing that they did differently is that they understood about the three minds. They understood the secret of the unconscious mind. I will share with you the techniques that I've learned from studying different shamanic traditions from all over the world, from very high-level masters. And I have syncretized all this information, and I can explain it to you in average, everyday words that you can understand. You don't have to be some secret shaman. If you learn the methods to hack into the unconscious mind and reprogram it to cooperate with your conscious and subconscious minds, you can manifest anything. Good health, financial success, happiness, love, friends, anything that you truly desire. Remember what I told you earlier. I was 49 years old. I was a spiritual master. I was a teacher. But doctors had told me that my joints were damaged from sports, from martial arts. My back spasms and my neck pain would never go away. They told me I'd never be able to do all the things that I love to do, to surf, to hike, to lift weights, to practice martial arts. And today, 6 years later, at 55 years of age, hot, young, 24-year-old Russian swimsuit models approach me on the beach and call me Superman. I make a great living doing what I would do anyway. That, my friends, is the power of the unconscious mind. So, are you ready to learn the simple 4-step process of hacking into the unconscious mind and transforming your entire reality? Are you ready for infinite financial success? Are you ready for unbelievable health? Are you ready for love and intimacy on a level you didn't even know existed? If so, then I want to invite you to take my free online video course called the Manifestation Mastery Course. On that webpage, I go into detail about what real manifestation mastery is and how to hack into the unconscious mind and make it work for you. You'll also have access to all of my other resources that are designed to empower you on every level. But first, just go to the website and start watching the free videos. You have nothing to lose. It is my deepest desire to share with the world what I have learned about the real secret to manifestation and how to merge the law of attraction with the law of manifestation. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time. I thank you for listening. I look forward to sharing in your success. And once again, just go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com right now and get started. Hello, Thunder Wizards. I am here to tell you that you have been lied to about the law of attraction. As you know, I recently put up a video talking about the missing elements of the law of attraction. And I used verbatim some of the teachings of perhaps the most popular law of attraction teacher out there. This is a woman who claims to channel a male entity, is extremely popular. She's extremely rich and successful, and people from all over the world keep coming back to her month after month, year after year, taking her seminars. And yet, the majority of those people are not able to instantly manifest their desires and their intentions. And the reason for that is because the law of attraction, as it is being taught, is only being given to you partially. Because if you understand that there is a law of attraction and a law of manifestation, and if you combine the law of attraction and the law of manifestation, it works every time. But they are withholding from you the true teachings about the law of manifestation and how you have to combine the law of manifestation with the law of attraction. When you have those two together, as I said, you are able every time to manifest your intentions and your desires. So why are they keeping you from the truth? It's very simple. Because if they give you the whole truth, then you don't have to keep going back to them and buying their books and going on cruises with them and buying their seminars. So I have discovered what the law of attraction is and what the law of manifestation is and how they work. These are ancient shamanic practices that have been practiced for tens of thousands of years by shamans who understand the nature of life force energy and how it works. I'm going to share this with you, and if you want to master this and not have to keep going back and buying books and paying for seminars, I am going to lay out exactly what all of this is. If you want to keep going back to them, I'm happy for that too. I mean, I think it's great to spend money going to teachers, and I think it's great to go and spend money to work with mentors. I have a mentor that I work with, so I have nothing against that. So there's nothing wrong with getting together with people and going on cruises and having these seminars and feeling good and focusing on some of the aspects of the law of attraction. But if you don't want to be addicted to that, if you don't want to be dependent upon some other being from some other plane telling you what the truth is, you can master this on your own. You don't need them. Once you understand how this works, you can do it yourself. So I am offering a course in Mastery of Manifestation. To get started with that, go to thunderwizard.com, scroll down on the right, you will see Manifestation Mastery Course. Now, for those of you who are already signed up as a Thunder Wizard subscriber, then you can have a choice between just focusing on the Shamanism Mastery course, which if you really study that, you will find out where the law of attraction is and the law of manifestation, and you will be able to put those two together. But if you want to cut to the chase and get Mastery of Manifestation along with the Mastery of the Shamanism course, then you want to sign up for the Manifestation Mastery course. So that's my announcement. Keep your eyes open. I'm going to be uploading a lot of videos both here and onto the Patreon site. And just keep your eyes peeled because this is just the beginning. All right, talk to you soon. Hello and welcome to the Manifestation Mastery video course series. So, we've got a lot of things that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be focusing on what has been missing from what you have been taught manifestation is. We're going to be looking into the connection between the law of attraction and the law of manifestation. And I'm going to be sharing with you how the things that are most important, that the really nuts and bolts techniques connected to manifestation have been missing from what you've been taught. And the way to understand that is to understand what the law of attraction really is and what the law of manifestation really is and how these two laws come together. When you understand how to bring these two laws together, and just use some very simple techniques and understandings about how the universe works and how manifestation works, that you really can create your dreams simply by thinking about them. You can manifest things instantly. But there's a few things that we need to do. We need to understand what the process of manifestation is. So I'll be sharing with you a lot of my understanding that I've learned from master shamans from different parts of the world throughout my my studies and my practice. And I'm going to be revealing to you also the hidden techniques in the law of manifestation that are being hidden from you. There are teachers out there, some of whom don't know any better, and they don't understand what the law of manifestation is, so they leave this part out. But there are teachers out there who know what these very simple shamanic techniques are, and they are choosing to omit them from their teaching. And the reason why they're not teaching you what the law of manifestation is and how it interlocks with the law of attraction is because If you really learn to master this, you won't need to keep coming back to them month after month, year after year. Okay? So I'm going to be sharing that with you. So this is just an introduction. So why am I doing this series? Well, this is something that I personally have been very interested in, and I've been working on and teaching for decades now. And I am still learning, and I am growing, and I'm very hungry to learn the secrets of manifestation from a shamanic perspective. For those of you who know, you know that I have trained with teachers from all over the world in some extremely powerful disciplines. And there is a specific technique that I learned while studying esoteric Taoist mysticism, which was really about immortality. But what I found by practicing it is that it taught you how to manifest your desires. And so I've really been very interested in uncovering the rules, the science behind how the universe responds to your intentions and creates what it is that you want. And so I've written a few books about it on different subjects. So I'll give you what those resources are in time. But for right now, why am I doing this? Recently, I did a video which I uploaded to YouTube, which is no longer there because YouTube took it down. And in that video, I analyzed what was being taught by someone who is perhaps the most popular law of attraction teacher that is out there today. Now, I am not looking to cause any more problems with anybody, so I'm not going to give you her name. I'm sure you can figure out who it is. It is a woman who claims to channel a male entity, and she uses his name as her first name and her name as her last name. I'm sure you know who it is. And so I became aware as I was continuing with my work, and not only my studies, but my actual personal practice, I started coming to some very different conclusions about what the law of attraction is and what manifestation is. And I saw where things lined up, and then I saw where there were some huge gaps, and in some cases, people were being taught the exact opposite of what is needed in order to be able to manifest. And so I made a video about this, and I quoted her because I wanted to be truthful. I didn't want to misinterpret what she was saying. So I took her quotes verbatim, and I don't know how many quotes I used. I used numerous quotes from her and from other people that followed her. And then I started to break down where it was mistaken. Now, in that video, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. And I said that here's where she's mistaken. Now, bear in mind, I used her name, I used her quotes, I quoted her verbatim, did that so that I would not misrepresent her. And then I shared my opinion. You know, I'm just some guy with a small channel on YouTube. I'm not this, you know, at least not at the moment I'm saying this, I'm not this millionaire law of manifestation teacher. I don't go on cruises and offer $10,000, you know, cabins on a ship to take a cruise with me. I don't have thousands and millions of people coming to seminars today. I was just some guy who's on the internet, and here's my opinion about this. Now, I must have struck a nerve because she came back to me, and according to YouTube, her company specifically complained about my video and said that I had violated her copyright law. And so for that reason, she wanted YouTube to take my video down. Now, because I had done that video on, I believe it was a live question and answer streaming, they also banned me from doing live streaming YouTubes for 90 days. Now, that's a big deal to me because that's where the majority of my business comes from. It comes from me doing those live Q&As and from me advertising my products and my services. So that hit me close to home there. My first reaction was that I was going, you know, I got angry and I was like, okay, I'm going to come after you. And I, was going to find ways to come after her without violating her or breaking any laws and all that. And I was going to make a big stink about it. And I thought about it and I said, that doesn't serve me any. The universe sends me little, little instructions on how to be more prosperous and successful like this. And so what it did is it motivated me, because then I realized that she obviously had some agenda to keep people from knowing what I was teaching. Because what did it do? It could potentially cut into her business, her bottom line, her dollars. And so the best way to do that was to shut me up. And so now I am on a mission, because I believe that the missing pieces of the law of attraction and the law of manifestation, and more importantly, the outright contradictory teachings that are taking you away from mastering this, I believe is harmful. And so I believe that this information needs to get out, and people need to know this. So that built a fire underneath me, and now I'm going to go all out and really teach you guys what I've learned about manifestation. And again, what I've learned is that you can intend your reality. But in order to do that, you have to understand what the law of attraction is, what the law of manifestation is, how they work together, and you need to understand some specific techniques. And there's one very powerful technique that overrides all of them, and we're going to get into all of that. So let's do some, let's do some review. What is the law of attraction? The law of attraction, as it is being presented, is that your thoughts, intentions, and feelings create a vibration. And that vibration goes out, and all the things associated with that vibration then sort of ride on that vibration and come back to you. Very simple. What you think is what you get. What you feel is what you get. What you intend is what you get. Now, you need to understand that thoughts, feelings, and intentions are three completely different things. And I'm here to tell you that while it is true, there is some truth to that your thoughts will create a vibration that will attract things on the level of those thoughts. Your feelings will create an energetic vibration which will open up and connect you to things on that level. There's some truth to that. So your thoughts and your feelings and your intentions, definitely. Now, thoughts and feelings are passive. You have limited control over your thoughts and limited control over your feelings. In some cases, it will be virtually impossible for you to get a thought out of your head or to get a feeling out of your mind or your body. Your intentions, on the other hand, are fully, completely the result of an internal action that you take. You intend something. The first two are passive. The third one is not. And it's really your intentions that you need to be focusing on. And one of the things that the law of attraction teaches is that that your feelings are most important. And again, I'm not quoting anybody verbatim, but I can tell you, you can do your own research. Go and listen to these law of attraction teachers, the big ones, even just your average one on the internet, and they're going to focus a lot on feelings. And so what they're going to teach you to do is to change your feelings or to focus on positive, happy feelings. And as long as you can focus on positive feelings, those feelings will create a vibration. And then they'll talk about how powerful feelings are. And they'll give you the impression that feelings are the most important thing. But they misunderstand how thoughts, feelings, and intentions go together. So first, let's break those down. Thoughts are a reaction. Every time you have a thought about something, it is a reaction to some stimulus. If you're walking down the street and you see an attractive person walking towards you, you will have a thought about, wow, that person is really attractive. You will then have a feeling. If you're attracted to that person, you will have a feeling, and you may have this strong emotional attraction to them. You may want, wow, I wish I could go on a date with that person, or whatever your feeling is. And then comes the intention. At that point, you have a choice to decide what your intention is. You can decide to discard that feeling and go, yeah, there's plenty of attractive people, but I'm married, so I'm not going to. Or you can say, wow, I've got to get her number. And then you have an intention. Your intention is to go and get her number. So those are three different things. Your thoughts are a reaction to stimulus. You can also have thoughts that recur about past things or about future things. You know, if somebody harmed you in the past in your experience, you may have a thought about, so, these kinds of people do this. I just had, an interaction with somebody, I won't get too deep into it, but I had an interaction with somebody on my channel who's like this, who had come to a conclusion about a certain group of people, and this person had a blanket statement for these group of people, and, these people are mean to you, they're always mean to people like me and all that. So we talked about it, and I said, I have a completely different experience, and, so that person has a thought that reoccurs to them based on a past experience. There's a certain group of people out there, this person has a negative reaction to those people because of a past experience. So things that happen in the past create a stimulus. So an unresolved issue, that keeps creating a thought. Now, once you have that thought, you may have a feeling associated, anger, fear, resentment, happiness. Doesn't matter what it is. You might remember, when you were 4 years old and your mom gave you, something for Christmas. You might have a happy feeling. You might have a happy thought. But you're responding to the stimulus of something. You may have a physical pain in your body. That'll create a thought. Maybe you start thinking about different diseases, and so you have thoughts about, whatever, some horrible disease. That's a thought, is a reaction to a stimulus, physical pain. These are just examples. Thoughts are reactions. Now, you do have some control over that. You can choose to manufacture thoughts about things if you want. You do have some control, but you can't always change your thoughts. Your thoughts are just simply your reactions, and you can't live without reacting to things. Same with your emotions. Your emotions are simply reactions. You can have sadness, happiness, anger, resentment, glee. You can have all kinds of feelings about things, but you can then decide what you want to do with those feelings. But the truth is, you don't really have any control over your thoughts or your feelings. Virtually no control over them. You only have control over what you choose to do about them. And even that, sometimes you don't have a lot of control over that, because you might be so overwhelmed by thoughts and feelings that it dictates your actions. But of the three, the only thing that you have control over is your intention. You could have a feeling towards something and then choose to have an intention that goes directly opposite that feeling. It'll take more willpower to do it, but you can do it. Most people tend to just create intentions after they react. An emotion makes them, somebody has like this guy has a bad experience with a group of people. He has a bad feeling about it, a bad thought, and then he creates an intention of, I'm going to show them, or I'm going to avoid them, or that's his intention. He's just responding, knee-jerk, just like an animal. He's not really thinking like a human. He's just responding out of his thoughts and his feelings. You can choose to do something different. So this is just an introduction. So we're going to be talking about the law of attraction, which, as I've just pointed out, is the theory that your thoughts and your feelings create a vibration, which then brings to you whatever that vibration is connected to. And the law of attraction people will tell you, if you have happy feelings, you will attract happy things. If you have negative feelings, you will attract negative things. And so I'm here to say, first off, that is a dangerous thing to teach somebody. Because what it does is it creates a shame loop where, as I said, you don't have control most of the time over your thoughts and your feelings. And if you've got some trauma in your life, you've had some experiences that have a lot of negative feelings associated with it, you're not going to be able to just filter out all those negative feelings. And so if you're being taught that you have to be thinking and feeling positive all the time, otherwise you're going to attract negativity, all that's going to do is create more negative thought, because if somebody can't control their normal human reaction to negative experiences, then they have only one choice, which is to feel guilty or to feel less than or to be worried. Oh my gosh, I'm having a negative feeling. Am I going to create something negative out of this? And then people get lost in that. So that's really destructive. But the most destructive aspect is it's just simply not 100% true. Your feelings by themselves are not going to always attract what they're associated with, because if they did, that would mean that every time you get angry and you have a thought about, I wish that person would die, there'd be dead people all over. You'd be, I wish that car wasn't on the road, the car would crash. If that were true, every single thought and feeling, negative thought and feeling, would be manifested, and that just isn't the case. The same is true for the positive. Just because you have a positive feeling, that positive feeling isn't necessarily going to manifest. So this is a very dangerous teaching, and we're going to get into that. Now let's talk about the law of manifestation. So the law of attraction says that you attract things. Now people confuse attraction with manifestation. Manifestation is your intentions creating your reality. And remember, thoughts and feelings are in one category, intention is in the other. So really the law of manifestation is about the law of intention. Now, again, if we go on the surface level, what you intend is what you create. Of course, that is true. But obviously, there are times when you can't simply intend something and manifest it. Then we need to start to understand the deeper levels of being programmed on an unconscious level. We need to understand on a deeper level what this process is, how life force energy is employed in intending your reality. And this is what shamanism is about. This is why shamans are seen as these magical beings who can, bend the laws of reality. What they've done is that they have mastered intention. And specifically, what shamans do that the average person does, let me be very clear about this. The average person can be a master manifestor without understanding the shamanic understanding of life force energy. And there's all kind, and we'll be talking about how to do that just by using your own human ability to intend and manifest. But shamans take it one step further. They have understood how life force energy works, what life force energy is, how life force energy is connected to thoughts, feelings, and intentions. They've also learned how to take this life force energy and use it to increase their ability to intend. This is what shamanic rituals are all about. This is what mantra is all about. Spells, ceremonies. All of these things are designed to manifest or to harness life force energy and then use it combined with intention. And that's when things get really powerful. Okay? But you don't even have to do that. You don't have to be a master shaman to learn how to manifest. And I'm going to teach you some very simple ways. We're going to be talking about the science of it and some practical things behind it. So the bottom line, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm really grateful that that person targeted me and had my video taken down and had me lose my live streaming on YouTube for 90 days. I'm really grateful that she did that because it really lit a fire underneath me to say, hey, this is information that people need to get to. They need to be able to know this, and I can guarantee you, if you're able to absorb the concepts, if you're able to understand what these laws really are, and if you're able to follow my directions, you will be able to manifest everything that you want in life. Guaranteed. So we're going to get into that. So that's what this is all about. So welcome. If you haven't already done so, please go to thunderwizard.com. When you get on that page, go over and sign up for the Manifestation Mastery course. Then go on to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and subscribe there. Then go on to my website, courses.thunderwizard.com, and click on all of those links so you can see all of the resources that are available to you. And as we go on, I will be recommending specific resources for you to use. Okay? So again, I guarantee you, if you're able to understand and absorb all of these concepts, and if you're able to follow my directions, my simple step-by-step directions, you will be able to manifest everything that you desire. All right. Talk to you later. Okay, so in this video, we are going to be talking about how the law of attraction and the law of manifestation have been influenced by organized religion and modern society. This is video 2A in the Law of Manifestation series. So, this is extremely important to understand because if you live in the Western world, even though you are not a religious person, maybe you were a religious person, maybe you've never been a religious person, it doesn't matter. Our society has hypnotized you to believe certain principles about how the universe works. This has happened on an unconscious level. You may not even be consciously aware. Now, if you've investigated psychology at all, or the power of persuasion, or hypnotism, or any of these things, whether it's used to help empower yourself or to influence others, you know that the majority of our decisions are being influenced by our unconscious mind. So you can be consciously thinking something and be motivated to do something completely different. And this is very true when it comes to understanding the law of attraction. So what I'm here to say to you is that the law of attraction, as it has been presented to modern society, is at best incomplete. The law of attraction by itself cannot work without the law of manifestation. But at worst, the law of attraction is not only incomplete, but there are people who are teaching you things about the law of attraction which will actually inhibit your ability to attract success. And we're going to get into that. So in this second video, we're going to be talking about how religion and how society is manipulating you on an unconscious level to keep you from being able to manifest the life of your dreams. Okay? So, let's talk again about what the law of attraction is, according to a lot of the teachings that are running around these days. So, the law of attraction, as it is being presented now, says that the universe operates on the law of vibration, and that how you vibrate will connect you to other things that vibrate on that same level. And if you stay in that vibration, then those things will come to you. You will attract them to you. I'm just telling you what the law of attraction is. And so how that's been interpreted is that this vibration is emotions. So emotions are reduced to vibrations, and as long as you stay in positive vibrations, positive things will be attracted to you. Okay, that's what the law of attraction is. And then, so the takeaway from that is, oh, as long as I stay positive and focus on positive feelings and stay feeling positive about things I want, like money and love and success, then those things will be attracted to me. The law of attraction will force those things to come to me, and I can then have what I want. It sounds great, and it is partially true. And I'm going to explain to you how you can tap into your own specific projection that vibrates exactly what your soul wants to bring, which of course is going to bring you the greatest happiness. We'll talk about that a little later. But before we get into that, let us talk about how religion has affected society, which has programmed you to think certain ways about the universe, which makes which creates blocks in your unconscious mind to attract things to you. But it also takes the teeth out of the law of attraction and actually destroys your ability to attract. So what I'm saying here is that people can be following the law of attraction to the letter based on how they've been taught and still end up having nothing working for them. And the more that they go and try and learn about the law of attraction, the more stuck they get and the less success they have. And let me just ask you straight out. You know, if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you haven't mastered or had the law of attraction bring you absolutely everything. If you have, congratulations. I'm happy for you. In all seriousness, I'm very happy for you. But if you're like me, you may have spent years, sitting on the edge of your bed or walking on the beach or walking in the woods and focusing on positive things and only focusing on positive ideas and feeling confident in yourself and trying to create positive feelings associated with things you want, like money, success, love. And like me, maybe you had some mixed success in the beginning where sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And then as time went on, you became less and less able to manifest those positive feelings. And perhaps even, and I find this very common, since it's not working, you start to have negative feelings and makes it harder for you to stay positive. And then on top of that, you start judging and criticizing yourself for not being spiritual enough to stay positive. And then you start to blame yourself, and then you get in this cycle of shame. Now, we'll talk about that in the Part B video and how you can address that. But today what I want to talk to you about is the history of modern society and how it has created these blocks in our unconscious mind that actually thwart the law of attraction no matter how much you consciously try to focus on positive things. And once I explain this to you, it's going to make a lot more sense to you, and you're going to see how our hands are tied from the get-go. And while the law of attraction, even though I'm telling you that the law of attraction doesn't work completely without the law of manifestation, even the law of attraction, the part of it that does work, it ends up being just completely immobilized. It becomes worthless. Okay? And I'll explain to you, it's not your fault. You've been programmed this way. So let me talk about that. All right, so long about around the Middle Ages, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 years ago, depending on where your ancestors may have come from in Europe, the Christian religion started taking over. And the Abrahamic mythology about God and the universe, and as we call it, the Judeo-Christian value system, began being imposed on all of the Western world, on all of the civilized world, and it very effectively replaced the pre-existing mindset of our ancestors. Now, all over the world, when you go back far enough into primitive religions, what you're going to find is the belief that Human beings are an integral part of a community of other beings, both living and spiritual. And there was a very strong belief and teaching that it was up to each individual to decide their fate and what they wanted. And it was up to each of them to decide what it is their specific fate was, that they themselves wanted, that made them different from everybody else. And it was their journey in this physical life to go and get that for themselves. And so people were encouraged to seek their own glory, to seek their own fame, to seek their own success and their riches. And this was seen as a positive trait, the trait of bravery, the trait of self-confidence, the trait of pride in oneself. These were things that you looked for, and you taught this to your children. You were taught to go conquer the world and conquer your life. And so the forces of nature, the spirits, the gods, the ancestors, the ascended masters, were all here to guide you in this process. Now that is completely different from what came later with the Judeo-Christian belief system, with the beliefs associated with organized religion. And once religion became an organized body, where it wasn't just people and their culture, their tribe, pride in oneself and in one's family, when that started to be replaced with the belief that you were part of a huge machine, that you were part of the country, part of the society, which really meant God. You then were told that it was sinful to take pride in your own achievements, that you were not allowed to go and get things for yourself. This was seen as selfishness. Pride and selfishness were sins that were worthy of damnation. In fact, you hear, even today, but if you watch movies in the past, you'll hear the Catholic priests go, the sin of pride. Well, you can go into church now and they'll talk about the sin of pride. And God, you should only be seeking God's will and not yours. So there became this block, and people became unconsciously conflicted. Because on the one hand, we were still taught the value of hard work, the value of self-respect. But at the same time, you were taught that only God decides what to give you. And God must receive all the glory, and you must live your life in order to give God glory and none for yourself. And then you go even further and you're taught, like Jesus, you're supposed to carry your cross, to carry your burden. And now we have this idea of God's will. Well, if it's God's will, I'll be successful, but if not, that's just God's will for me. And, even if you're not religious, you still operate from these same ideas when you say, well, if it's meant to be, or, well, I guess that wasn't what I was meant for, or I guess I'm not meant to be with that person. And it's not that there isn't truth to all of these things. Of course, there's half-truths everywhere. But it puts you in a position where you are passive and you are dependent upon some other being's will. Even if, you're not religious, you say, I wasn't born in a religious family and my family always taught me to go get. You are still being constantly bombarded with these values in our society, in our media, in our educational system. You're still being bombarded with the idea of, well, if it's my fate, well, if it's what's meant to be. And what this creates, again, is a conflict in the unconscious mind. Now, conflict is probably worse than anything because nothing happens. Now, as I have been teaching, and what I have probably said earlier in the series, is that it really doesn't matter what you consciously intend if your unconscious mind is programmed to believe the exact opposite. One of the other values that has been given in modern society is the idea that money is evil, and that spiritual people shouldn't have money, spiritual people shouldn't make money. I get this all the time as a spiritual teacher. People tell me that I shouldn't charge money for what I do. Well, it's okay to go and pay the plumber, pay the dentist, pay the grocer, but it's not okay to pay the spiritual teacher. Now, I'm not here to harp on that. I'm here to point out that that value of spirituality and money don't go together. That you can't be a spiritual person and be financially successful in your life. This is coming from that organized religion movement that was designed to create you into a sheep, a dependent, passive creature that the government could control. And the government, especially in the Middle Ages, always associated itself with God. In fact, the rulers, the kings, according to the Bible, were people who were put there by God because God knows what's best for you. So you have to follow their laws, and whatever they tell you to do. And if they taxes they want to take from you, whatever laws they want to impose upon you, if you are a righteous person, you must submit to the will of them because they represent the will of God. See what I mean? So there's an unconscious belief in a lot of people that money is bad. There's an unconscious belief in a lot of people that they don't deserve money. And if they start to get it, then on an unconscious level, they start to feel that they're sinning. They start to feel that they're unworthy. On a conscious level, they may be thinking to themselves, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be happy. I want everything. But no matter how much they say to themselves, I'm going to have a big house, I'm going to have a car, I'm going to have a marriage and a family, and I'm going to be happy and healthy. No matter what they say to themselves on a conscious level, if on an unconscious level, which means they're not aware of it, if on an unconscious level they're operating from an assumption that they don't deserve money, or that money is bad, or money is wrong, or that you only get what God or the society decides for you, or what your fate is, or what your luck is, if you have that going on an unconscious level, it won't matter what you say up here. You will end up getting blocked. And this is, in my experience, the most profound problem that happens in most people. Especially in the beginning. They're told in the truth from the law of attraction, which says that, if you focus on positive things, you will attract positive things. If you vibrate on a positive level, positive things will come to you. And so in the beginning, that releases them and gives them a lot of hope, and it starts to work. And then what ends up happening? As they start getting what they want, the unconscious mind kicks in. Those negative assumptions of, only if it's God's will, spiritual people aren't successful, spiritual people can't have money, you can't be prideful enough to decide what you want, don't take too much. All of that stuff that's been programmed into you to make you more easily controlled, that kicks in. And then we're going to talk later, that creates a cycle of shame and guilt, which will trap you even more deeply. We'll talk about that later. But what I want to talk about in this video is the law of attraction that is specific for you. So what I'm saying is that you yourself have your own specific vibration that works with your true destiny. So as opposed to the religious view, the organized religious view that says that God has a plan for you and God has his destiny for you, which may be completely different from what you want. But again, that's very convenient because then people in control of you can say, well, you're not supposed to lean on your own understanding. You're not supposed to be prideful in yourself. That is a sin. God has a plan for you for His glory that He wants to express through you, and your job, if you are a spiritual person, is to surrender to that. And it may not be what you like, but that's God's lesson for you, and that's what you're here to learn. If you're meant to be poor and miserable and sick, that's God's will. Now, that is a very pervasive belief, and even if, as I said, even if you consciously haven't been raised that way, you've still been bombarded with that. Okay? So you get what I'm saying. If you have an unconscious programming of poverty and sinfulness and God's will and all that kind of stuff, then in the beginning you may have some success vibrating on the things that you want, but once you really start to connect to the things that you truly want, it's going to short circuit itself. Now, what all of these teachings have told you is that the universe is arbitrary. Arbitrary means that there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just happens however it happens. We don't know why it happens, it just sort of does. And even though the belief in God, that God's will is what directs your life, it's still arbitrary from your perspective, because we have this experience of, well, I don't know what God's will for me is. And, God's will for me is to go and become a missionary down in a third world country, and I have to, do something I really don't want to do. Well, if I was truly a spiritual person and I cared about others, I would just throw my life away and go live for other people like that. That's arbitrary, because it means that you don't know what your destiny is. It's just a roll of the dice. As far as you're concerned, even though it's supposedly connected to God's will, it's still an arbitrary thing from your perspective. And that sends the message that the universe is an arbitrary place, meaning that the universe is just sort of like this machine. In fact, in medieval times, and even in the Restoration period, people believed that the universe was like a clock, and that God had wound it up and set it and then just left it. And so it was just running on its own. It had no consciousness. You couldn't interact with it. It was just this machine that worked. Sound familiar? Sounds a lot like the belief that we live in a matrix, right? Same idea. But that's because what they're really saying with that belief is that life is arbitrary and you really don't have any choice in the matter. And so that bleeds into the law of attraction, because a lot of people use the law of attraction thinking that they can just arbitrarily decide, I want this, I want that, I want this. And not that I'm trying to limit people's ability to decide what they want, but a lot of people don't even know what it is that they want. And so they think what they want is a lot of money and a big 10-story house. But that may not be what it is they truly want deep inside. And because they've been taught that they're not allowed to have their own desire, to have their own destiny that they themselves create, there's an internal block. Whenever they get close to it, they feel guilty, and so it just like erases it. And I get this all the time with people when I ask them, what is your greatest fantasy? In your greatest fantasy, what are you doing? And they say, I don't know. And that's because they have this conflict inside of them on an unconscious level. They don't even know what their true desire is. So, what I'm here to tell you is that based on, this isn't just what I've been taught, and I have been taught this in some practices that I've learned, but it's also been my experience. I have proven it in my own life. I've also seen it proven in the lives of my students. And that is that you came into this world with a desire that you yourself programmed into your entire being. Now, you did this, your soul did this before it came here. And your soul came here to experience its greatest joy. So I want you to get rid of the idea that your soul came here to learn a bunch of hard lessons, and we're here to learn, and if we make mistakes, we get reincarnated. That's not at all been my experience. My understanding and my personal experiences taught me that what your soul wants most of all is to just have as much fun as possible. And that the universe is not an arbitrary place. The universe is here to empower everybody on their journey. And the great thing about it that makes it a win-win for everybody is that if you go after what you truly want most, your deepest desire, that you may think is wrong. Most people, here's one way I know that somebody is starting to tap into their true soul desire. I'll ask them, in your fantasy, what it is that makes you happy. And they'll say, well, this is kind of stupid, or this is kind of selfish, or maybe this is impractical, or this is silly. As soon as they say that, I already know that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Because that shows that they're becoming conscious of the block within them, that they have been programmed by their parents, by society, by religion, by television, by radio, by music, to feel guilty about what it is they truly want. And so since they're tapping into what they truly want, they're starting to have that guilt, that self-criticism. And so if they can overcome that self-criticism and really accept that, then the law of attraction works every time. And we'll get into why that is. So you have come here, your soul has come here with this very specific idea or ideas throughout your life of what it is it wants to experience. And the way that it gets you to do it is motivating you through joy. And the great thing about it, which I wanted to say earlier, is that when you are having real, true fun from the soul, you always help other people, always. So you never have to make the decision between, well, what I want versus what other people want, or what I want versus what is best for others. If you come to the true realization of what it is you truly want, and the people around you are trying to stop you, or if society is trying to stop you, or if you feel guilty about it, then that just means that even if society or people or friends or family get upset with you, it's only because you are teaching them to do the same thing, and they are struggling with their own guilt about doing what they want. Now, it's not your job to tell them what to do. It's just your job to show them through example what it is to live your life and be happy. And that is always the best thing for everybody, whether it's your children, your spouse, your parents, whoever it is. Okay? So I want you to get rid of that idea that what you want and what makes you happy is somehow wrong because it harms others. It will never harm others. They may not like it, but that doesn't mean that it's harming them. In fact, it's helping them. Okay? So now I've learned on an even deeper level that there is a specific vibration from your soul that each person has that's very specific to them. And if you can understand that, know what that is, a couple of really powerful things will happen. First, you will attract success. You will attract monetary success and personal success. You will attract, in fact, your greatest potential in the world, which will always be followed by money. So let's talk about money for a second. Money is just energy. So, I want you to get your idea, any judgments you may have about what money is. Money's good, money's bad. Get rid of all that. Money is simply an energy. And, there's a big movement now for people to get rid of money altogether and go to a bartering society. That's actually coming from an astrological shift that's happening now. We're moving from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is about the masses rising up and people working together cooperatively while still being their own person. And so the act of bartering reflects that. When you're getting rid of money, money represents, a system that's controlling you and all that. So I understand where that's coming from. However, I have some disagreements with that as well, because money is just energy. And in times past, our ancestors, before they started using coins and money, they bartered with real things. You know, the word fee in our English language comes from the word for cattle. And that's because the pre-Christian Europeans didn't use money. They used cows. And so today, when we say I charge somebody a fee, what you're really saying is I'm charging them a cow. And that's because cows were practical ways. It's what you needed. I mean, the reason why people had cows was because it gave them milk, cheese, butter, meat, clothing, weapons, tools. You know, it was the Walmart for, the ancient people. And so it was a very valuable thing. Wow, don't worry about giving me a spear or a tool or a vest or something. Just give me the cow. I'll take what I need out of that. Like money. Money is here. Here's money, which is just energy. And with that energy, you go get whatever it is that you want. That's why we call it a fee. That's why we call it a cow. You know, I charge a fee for somebody to talk to me privately. I'm charging them a cow. I want money from them in exchange for me helping them, and then I take that money and I go get whatever it is I want and I need. Money represents from the universe that you are being rewarded for following your truest self. Because when you follow your truest self, which is what makes you happy, you help others. And when you are helping yourself, you automatically help others. The universe, which is not an arbitrary place, responds positively with a reward in the form of resources, whatever resources you need, but for most people, the quickest way is just money. So money definitely does say something. And, say whatever you want about money. If your true desire is to live in the middle of the forest in a loincloth with a begging bowl, then then your resources will be different. You will be given health, you will be given happiness, you will be given the place that you need to be, you will be given, people will support you, and that the resources will come that way, but that's if you truly want it. If you're punishing yourself and you're denying yourself, even on an unconscious level, of resources, then the universe is not going to reward you for that. And we talk about that in the 5 Rules to Master the Matrix. If you're interested, you can watch that series. So I just want to impress upon you this idea that you have your own vibration, and this vibration, when you really see what it is and you start to vibrate on your true essence, then that does, in fact, immediately kick in the law of attraction, and you start getting success in the form of financial and personal success. Now, here's the thing about it. You may be completely clueless as to what your specific vibration is. And for this, we need to talk about astrology. So for those of you who don't know, I am a Vedic astrologer, and I help people with the things that have been most helpful for me. There's all kinds of things in astrology, what's happening overhead right now and all that kind of stuff. But in Vedic astrology, there is a science about learning what it is your true projection is. Now, you may not know what that projection is because you have your own experience of yourself, and that's what we call the ascendant, the first house. The first house is who you are. When you look in the mirror, you see yourself. For instance, in Vedic astrology, I am a Leo. I'm a Leo with moon in the first house. So when I look at myself in the mirror, I see a lion who's very sensitive. I see this very sensitive lion and very emotional, right? But my projection is not that. My projection is Mars in Libra in the third house. Mars in Libra in the third house is the warrior who brings spiritual balance. So people see me as a mediator, as a counselor, as a protector. When I present myself that way, even if I don't feel like it, even if I feel like that lion with a thorn in his paw, who's feeling very emotional, even if I have that feeling, I think that that's how everybody sees me. If I show up as my true projection, my reflection, people don't see that. They see the reflection and they reward me for it, which is what all this is about. This is my projection. I'm well aware that that's how people see me, whether I like it or not. Now, the great thing about your projection is that when you consciously and deliberately present yourself to the world as your projection, then all of your unconscious karmic issues come to the surface. Because for me, this is kind of an uncomfortable, in the beginning, I'm getting more comfortable with it now, but in the beginning, this was an uncomfortable way to present myself. You know, a sleeveless shirt and the bald head and this and all that. And all of those things were a little embarrassing for me. But I started projecting myself that way, even though it was challenging for me. And I saw my income skyrocket. I saw people's response to me become extremely positive. And lots of times I felt really embarrassed about it. That's my pride. That's my ego. So let's talk about ego for a second, because we're taught in religious teachings that to feel powerful within oneself is ego, and one should be humble. Only God has glory. You can't take any glory away from God. Your job is to bring God glory even through your pain and your suffering. I mean, you think about it, it's a ridiculous thing, but the whole idea that your suffering brings Jesus glory or brings God glory, I mean, it's a really ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous thought. Think about it. It makes no sense. How would that bring, supposedly if there's this being up there who's created you and wants to take glory, then he would say, look at this amazing creature I've created and look at how successful he or she is. That brings me glory. Why would God get glory from your suffering? Yeah, it was just a thought. It just doesn't make any sense. So what ends up happening is that when we get in touch with our true projection, which will always be about you taking pride with yourself and your power and your ability to help and create and do whatever it is you're supposed to do within yourself that you've decided, and I say supposed to, meaning you want to, not that somebody else is telling you what you're supposed to do, but what your soul wants. There's always a karmic lesson in there because you have karmic issues that you need to overcome in order to be your highest, greatest self. And that will show up as embarrassment. You will feel embarrassed about those strengths that you have. And so your karmic task for your own enlightenment is to, humble yourself in allowing your greatness to shine out. And that's completely different. You see that? True humility is allowing your greatness to shine and to be happy with it and to be grateful. Yes, look at how amazing I am. That is your true attitude of humility, because you then will want to give that to others and help others with that. And so what I found is that your projection will be intimately linked with what profession your soul wants you to go do so that you can be as wealthy as you can stand being. Does that make sense? So in order to understand that, you need to know what your aruta is, and this is in Vedic astrology. So I recommend that you go get a reading from either me or one of my apprentices. I have trained them in how to find people's specific vibration. So for that, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and, like I said, get a reading from me or one of my apprentices. If you don't want to do that, then I recommend you can go online and try and find your aruta yourself. There are ways to do that. If you like me, you put time and effort into finding it out, you can find it out. And then I recommend that you go out and be that. Go out and project that to the world. You're going to have your issues with it, but it's always going to be associated with you feeling uncomfortable about showing your greatness. And then the law of attraction really works. So what we need to understand is that the law of attraction, if it's taken as an arbitrary thing, it doesn't work. And this is something that is taught in the law of attraction. It's when somebody says it doesn't matter what, as you know, whatever your emotion is, that's what you're going to attract. That is an incomplete and sometimes an outright false statement. And it can be damaging because then people believe that it doesn't matter what they emotionally project. Whatever it is, that's what they're going to get back. And so if people have a mistaken belief that having a huge mansion is going to give them happiness, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't have anything against huge mansions. I only say that because most people come to the law of attraction from an unconscious assumption of lack. They come to the law of attraction with a belief that they don't deserve money and that the universe doesn't want to give it to them. They're fighting with themselves about the guilt about having money to begin with, their worthiness of it. And so they want to feel safe. So they have this belief that if they have a lot of money, they'll be safe. And so one of the first things people do when they start coming to the law of attraction is they start trying to manifest a big house or a car or lots of money or winning the lottery without knowing what their true projection is, their true greatness is. And so because the universe is not arbitrary, when you try to vibrate about something, even if you have strong feelings about it, and the universe says, that's not what you told me you wanted. So I'm confused. I don't really want to give you that because you told me that wasn't what you wanted. And our experience is that the universe is denying us and that we're not worthy, and it reinforces all of that. But when you know what your true projection is, not your experience of yourself. Remember I said that, you know, in astrological terms, I'm a Leo. I'm like the lion with the thorn in his paw. Because I have a debilitated, I was born on a new moon, which makes my moon debilitated, which means makes me very emotionally sensitive. And so my experience is I'm a lion with a thorn in my paw. But that's not how people see me. That's just my egotistical experience of myself. So your experience of yourself is just that. It's your own ego experiencing itself, and there's all kinds of lessons. This is what meditation is for and spiritual practice, so that you can work through those issues. But that's not what people see. I can guarantee you that there is your own personal vibration that people see, and it is something very powerful. It may be something that, you know, they may not relate to. You know, some people have all kinds of really fun and esoteric projections, like, you know, the trickster. There are people whose projection is the trickster. Now, if their experience is that they're the priest and they're trying to walk around showing everybody how truthful and righteous they are because they're trying to bolster their own ego issues, what people see is this trickster not being their true self, and then people don't trust you. So one of the things that happens, and I know that this was true with me, but I know there's a lot of people out there who are trying to present themselves in a way that they think is true and good, but it's different from their own true vibration. And so what ends up happening is people don't trust you because they see you according to your projection, whether you like it or not. And if you try to go against that projection, people are going to feel uncomfortable around you. They're going to say things like, I don't know what it is about that person, but I don't like him. Whereas if you allow your true soul projection to come out, and remember, it's a projection, it's not who you are. It's a projection, it's a costume. It's a costume your soul has wanted to come and play a part. And it's not being fake. It's actually connected to what you have come here to give to others that will give you the greatest joy and also help you to actually get rid of your ego. Your narcissism, you know, feeling sorry for yourself and all the drama associated with that. It gets you out of that. Doesn't mean that your feelings go away or that your issues go away. It just means that, you know, we're here to enjoy life and to give joy to others. And the way you do that is to project your soul's costume, if you want to put it that way. Then when you do that, you end up getting all the resources that you need, and you work through your own karmic past life issues and your present life issues, and you help others work through theirs as well. It's a win-win for everybody. So again, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com to get started with that. Now, there are more things that we need to talk about, which have to do with guilt and shame. So one of the biggest problems that I've seen with the incomplete law of attraction is that people, again, in the beginning, maybe they will have some success, but almost certainly they will be very attracted to the idea of feeling good. Now, most people come to the law of attraction because there's some uncomfortable feelings that they want to overcome. They may feel guilty, they may feel unworthy, they may feel unloved, they may have some sadness, they may have some trauma that they dealt with from dysfunctional families, maybe outright abuse. But people usually show up to the law of attraction because there's something missing, there's something that needs healing within them. And so what ends up happening is that they become very attracted to the idea of, if you stay in positive vibration, meaning if you stay in positive feelings, then positive things will come to you. And so the message is, don't focus on the negative, only focus on the positive. And let me just reflect back to you about this, because the theory is that if you are having a positive feeling, if you have a positive intention, then positive things will come to you. Makes perfect sense. That is true. It's only a half-truth, but it is true. But the other thing is, they'll say, well, don't focus on the negative. If you focus on the negative, then negative things will come. Oh, you've had all these negative things happen to you? Well, it's because you're focusing on the negative all the time. And so what ends up happening is that people are taught that their feelings are bad. And so this creates this cycle of shame and guilt. And that creates its own problem, which then, if that goes forward, what ends up happening is that people, if they try and follow the law of attraction, it actually creates more poverty and sadness, and it just creates this never-ending cycle. So I'm going to share with you in part B how to address that and how you can turn that around and make it work for you. Okay, so if you like this video, I recommend that you go to thunderwizard.com, go to the right side of the page, and you'll see the Manifestation Mastery course. Click on that, and that will give you access to all of the B videos. So there's A videos and B videos. This is the Manifestation video 2A. So go on there and click on the Manifestation Mastery course. That will get you access to all of the B videos, including 2B. We're going to take a look at how shame and guilt create this whirlpool that makes it impossible for you to pull yourself out of it. But I'm going to show you how you can short circuit that, turn that around, and use the law of attraction so that you will be able to get what you intend. Okay? So I'll see you in the B video. Very important, do not forget, go to thunderwizard.com. You'll get to the thunderwizard.com Patreon page. Look on the right side of the page and click on Manifestation Mastery Course. Those who click on the Manifestation Mastery Course will get access to the deeper level manifestation teachings that are only available to those who sign up for the course. And also, don't forget, go to the free thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and subscribe. Okay, stay tuned for the next video. Hello and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Manifestation Mastery course. This is video number 3A. And today we're going to be talking about, can the law of attraction be addicting? And how does that affect your ability to manifest? So if you're new to the series, let me just say that I am here to tell you as a shamanic teacher, somebody who has studied shamanic practices and esoteric spirituality from many different traditions from all over the world for, gosh, decades now, that the law of attraction is a spiritual science. It is a spiritual law. And when you use it correctly, it works every time. But unfortunately, there are a lot of teachers nowadays teaching it who do not understand its ancient shamanic roots and do not understand the full interpretation of the law of attraction. And so as a result, a lot of people are getting some good information, but they're only getting incomplete information about the law of attraction. And so let me just ask you straight out. First, take your feelings about the law of attraction as you've been taught it. Put those feelings aside just for a moment. And let me ask you an honest question. How successful have you been using the law of attraction? Have you gotten the life of your dreams? Have you found that it works some of the time and then it doesn't work? Have you been doing it for long periods of time, and the longer that you do it, the less results you're seeing? Now, I'm perfectly fine if you've been extremely successful, then you'll appreciate this even more because you are going to hear things that you've intuited about the law of attraction. Maybe you haven't consciously become aware of it, but as I explained it to you, you go, yeah, that's right, I have thought of it that way. Because let's face it, there are people who don't succeed with the law of attraction. And, to prove that, all you have to do is go on to Google or YouTube and just type in, do this and see what happens. Type in, when the law of attraction doesn't work, or the law of attraction doesn't work. You're going to see tons of results. So if you're a fan of the law of attraction and you swear by it and you know that it works, great. But you cannot deny that there are a huge number of people out there that are not getting it for whatever reason. So this is what I'm here to break down. I'm here to show you how the modern interpretation of the law of attraction has been watered down and you are getting half-truths. Those of you who are using it and seeing results, it's because you are intuitively and unconsciously using also the law of manifestation. And I go into a bunch of reasons. Some people are more geared to automatically, intuitively understand the law of manifestation. So when you explain the law of attraction to somebody who is already wired properly, emotionally and spiritually, then they get it immediately and they're able to manifest exactly what they want. But what they don't understand is that they're also employing the laws of manifestation. The people who try the law of attraction and are getting mixed results or are failing, especially those where you get, over time, you get worse and worse and worse responses from the law of attraction. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. It means that you're missing the rest of the shamanic science. And this is a science that has been taught for thousands of years. This is nothing new. We've repackaged it. And this is what I want to talk about today. How it's been repackaged in such a way where it keeps you constantly going back for more. You become addicted to it. And, there's a lot of people, when I talk about the idea of the law of attraction nowadays in modern spiritual contexts, being taught either incompletely or incorrectly, people get very defensive. And I want you to be aware of that. If when I tell you that there are teachers out there who are, maybe they're well-meaning, but they just don't know the full historical law of attraction, or I believe that there are some teachers out there, some of the really rich and famous ones, some of them that you may love and adore. They are purposefully, deliberately leaving out the most important parts. And in some cases, and I've caught them doing this, in some cases they are actually telling you to do things that will inhibit your ability to manifest, while at the same time keeping you addicted to the message. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So again, I'm here to tell you the truth, and I will tell you the truth whether it is pleasant or not. Listen, I know all the tricks. I know what cult leaders do. I know what salesmen do. I was a salesman for years. I know all of the tricks. And I can't live with myself if I tell somebody partial truths. I have to tell you the whole truth, because here's the thing. I firmly believe in this. I have proven it to myself, especially in the last decade. I have really applied the laws of attraction and the laws of manifestation, and I've learned through tough lessons and tough experience in life what it really is. And here's the thing. I have gone from less than nothing. Less than 10 years ago, I was this close to being homeless. I was living in a freaking shack in the middle of the woods in North Idaho. And I did not know where my money was going to come from. I was living off of the last bits of my credit card. I ended up going into bankruptcy, and I had all kinds of physical ailments. I had just gotten out of a divorce. I had lost everything in the divorce, and I did not know. I didn't know where I was going to live. It was cold and it was snowing. It was a really difficult time of my life, and I learned what the law of attraction and the law of manifestation is, because here's the really great thing about tragedy and difficulty. If you're listening to me and what I'm describing sounds like you or you relate to it, then you are in a much better position to understand and master this law of attraction and law of manifestation than somebody who has money and has a job and has a relationship and maybe wants to have more. If you're similar to how I described myself just even less than 10 years ago, you are set up to really master this and to have a life even better than you could possibly have imagined. And the reason for that is because there's a really valuable thing. It's called desperation. When you're desperate, when you have nothing else to lose, then you are willing to put the energy and the time into things. You're willing to take risks, and you're willing to sacrifice. And this that I'm talking about, the hard work and the sacrifice, is going to be more on the spiritual level, meaning you're going to have to change the idea of who you think you are. You're going to have to change the idea of who you think the universe is and your relationship to it. And you're going to have to understand yourself on a deeper level. Interestingly enough, I just got some sales email. And I may go into this because if I break this down for you, really break it down for you, the way that you are being sold this law of attraction. If I break it down for you, it'll really show you how these people these gurus are trying to keep you addicted to them and trapped in a cycle of failure. It's like the drug companies. There are untold natural solutions to all kinds of physical problems. I can tell you from personal experience, again, less than 10 years ago, I had chronic fatigue. I had chronic back pain, neck pain, back spasms, sciatica. I had tendonitis. I couldn't even lift, a glass of water. My tendonitis was so bad. And a knee pain and joint pain, and my left knee was swollen out to here. And I was told by doctors that I wasn't going to be able to lift weights again, or go surfing, or ride bikes, or hike again. I was told that I had micro tears in my tendons and muscles, and they just give you all this death sentence basically. And they tried to get me on painkillers, and I refused. Bottom line is I have zero physical symptoms of anything. I am in better health than I've ever been. I am stronger than I've ever been. My body feels great. I'm healthier than I've ever been at 55 years of age. And I'm telling you this because it is a direct result of practicing the full, complete law of attraction and law of manifestation. And I learned it when I was in this state of desperation, because I was willing to do whatever. But the one thing that I wasn't willing to do was to give up my dreams. And we'll get into that another time. I don't know if you can hear it. It's raining outside, so if you hear some weird sound, it's the rain coming down and hitting my my air conditioner that's hanging outside my window. So, bottom line is, let's get back to the question. Can you become addicted to the law of attraction? Again, if I say that to you and you get defensive, and you want to defend the law of attraction, and you want to say, no, the law of attraction works, no, I'm in full agreement with you. Take those feelings and just monitor them. You can pick them back up. Listen, you can decide that I'm full of crap and that I don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody's forcing you to believe anything. You can pick up your old beliefs whenever you want. Okay? But once again, I want you to ask you, is it really working for you to the degree that you want? Are you really getting what you want out of it? If not, if you can honestly say no, that's good, because I can tell you what the missing parts of the law of attraction are. Okay? It's going to take some discipline on your part to listen and do some internal changing. And it may take a challenging task of learning how to change the way that you think. So, how do people become addicted to the law of attraction? So what is the law of attraction as it is being taught? The law of attraction as it is being taught now, in the incomplete way, says that how you feel and how you think creates a vibration. And happy feelings, good feelings create a good vibration. Bad feelings, negative feelings, sadness, anger, depression, resentment, cynicism, these create a negative vibration. And whatever your vibration is, that attracts the same vibration to you. So there's a law of attraction teachers and here's the insidiousness. Listen to what happens. They euphemize the words thoughts and feelings, and they turn it into vibrations. And that they do that for a reason. Because if they if they come out and say to you, you can't have any bad feelings, because if you have bad feelings, bad things will happen to you. If you have fear, then whatever you're afraid of will happen to you. If they say that to you, you're going to get so turned off and so scared you're going to not listen to them. But if they disconnect you from your feelings and they just call it a vibration, that makes it more acceptable to you. It is a way of speaking and using words in order to hypnotize you and manipulate you. And so they say, well, if you vibrate on a negative vibration, then negative things will happen. And then in your mind you think in terms of positive and negative, and you don't own your feelings. It's a way of disconnecting you from your feelings. Because let's be honest, how much control do you have over your negative feelings, your negative thoughts? If you're somebody that grew up in a well-balanced home, with parents that loved you, in a society that was supportive, with supportive and loving siblings, when you had a good education and a good life, then you have some ability to control your negative feelings. You have enough cushion in your life when a negative thought comes up, a fear comes up. You go, you know what, I'm just not going to indulge in that because I believe in life and I believe in people and I believe in God or I believe in the universe. And so you have some measure of control. But what about the rest of us? If you're listening to me and you've been really interested in the law of attraction, I'm willing to bet it's because that you've had some negative experiences in life You have had some negative feelings, right? And you want to feel good. So the message of, if you just feel good all the time, good things will happen, that's extremely attractive. And this is why many people get defensive and they get offended with me and they leave negative comments and thumbs down and all that kind of stuff. And they get very protective of the false gurus out there that are trying to keep you addicted. They become defensive, not because what I'm saying isn't true. It's because they feel as though I'm attacking hope for them. Because what they really want is they want to hold on to the message that if you just feel good all the time, good things will happen. And so they have this hope that they can think themselves out of their negative feelings. And they can have positive feelings. But the truth of the matter is that those of us who have had tragedy and difficulty and trauma and dysfunction, I grew up in an extremely dysfunctional home, alcoholic father, overprotective mother, abusive older brother, used to beat the crap out of me all the time. And I had a rough adulthood as a result of that. And I'm here to tell you, as somebody who I believe has gained some mastery in the law of attraction and the law of manifestation. I've made some videos recently. You can see me walking on the beach in front of my house here in Southern California in a very upscale neighborhood. And less than 2 years ago, I was living in a one-room pool house, basically, in somebody's backyard. So I lost my train of thought there. I was remembering that house. I was remembering, it wasn't like it was filled with rats or cockroaches. It was just really tiny. And I was living in basically South Central LA. A great neighborhood, very nice people, but it's not where I wanted to live. I wanted to live near the beach. And here it is less than 2 years later. And my income has skyrocketed and continues to skyrocket. And I live in one of the most well-to-do neighborhoods in the world. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the location. And that's the point. You can have whatever you want. This is my message to you. You can have whatever you want. You really can. And but we need to understand what these laws are. And they are laws. And they function according to rules. But let's get back to the subject. So, there's a word that I didn't make up, but I think it describes this cycle of addiction. So let's talk. Before I get into that word, let's talk about what addiction is. I'm not talking about something that you do all the time because you need to and it's good for you. I breathe air just continuously. My heart beats all the time. I eat food every day. I drink water every day. I like to surf as much as possible. I have interests and hobbies that I do, all the time. I'm very into staying healthy and strong and, all that stuff. Those aren't addictions. That's health. That's something that you need. That's good for you. Indulging in those things is good. An addiction is something that gives you an immediate payoff, but over time you get less and less returns from it, and you get more and more entrenched in it. And you get in this cycle of getting the immediate payoff, and then you end up suffering from it. Drugs, alcoholism, those are good examples. If you snort meth, you're going to have an instant rush, and you're going to have a euphoria. Going to be followed by paranoia and delusions, and your teeth are going to fall out and all that kind of stuff. But you keep doing it, and you keep doing it for that rush, for that experience. And if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I think meth is really screwing up your life," the addict will say, "Hey, I can quit whenever I want, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I just one more time. If I just get it one more time, then it'll all be okay. Just once more." That's addiction. And there is an addictive quality to following these law of attraction gurus. And it's because they're giving you half-truths. And there's a word. The word that I wanted to bring up is called hopium. Hopium, because, like opiates are incredibly addictive, and they're more than just addicting. You know, there's different levels of addiction. There's the addiction that comes from the emotional payoff, which has its own, you know, neurochemical reaction that keeps you addicted. But, you know, if you stop, you'll have an emotional withdrawal, but you don't have the physical dependence that makes you violently ill. Really addictive drugs like opiates, pain pills, heroin. These not only have the emotional addiction that comes, but then there's a physical dependence that when you start to come off of that, you get violently ill. This is why we have this opiate addiction crisis. It's not just because there's a bunch of lazy people out there. There are some people, hardworking people who, you know, they have a operation or a physical injury or some kind of physical pain issue, and they take these pills, and then what ends up happening is they become physically dependent. They're not addicts in the traditional sense. They can't stop taking it. In fact, I have a friend who I've known for, you know, most of my life, who was an opiate addict, and the only way he got off the opiates was he was given a prescription which mimics, it's technically an opiate that doesn't get you high, but it still does the same thing to the receptors, and if he stops taking that, he starts going through, you know, major withdrawals, you know, emotional, physical, you know, he gets very sick. And so he has to keep taking that drug all the time, because he's physically dependent. He's not emotionally addicted to it anymore, to the high that you get from pain pills, because he's not taking pain pills. But he is physically dependent upon that opiate in his system, keeping him from shutting down. So hopium, Hopium, is when, in the law of attraction world, when you've got somebody who actually has a lot of negative feelings. They have sadness, they have depression, they have fear, they have anger, they have hatred. And because they are told, first and foremost, they're given the hope that, listen, you can have good things in your life if you focus on positive vibrations, so you get talked out of your feelings, because if they get wrapped up in, you know, what the feelings are, then they get wrapped up in that. So the way you disconnect it is you just say, it's not feelings, it's a vibration. And if they're told that they stay on a positive vibration, they will have positive things. This is very appealing. If I'm talking to you and you're finding yourself getting defensive, please just hold on to that feeling. Just be aware that that feeling is coming up. You can come back to your belief, but follow me through on this. So when you're told that if you have a positive vibration, positive things will happen to you, what that does is that kicks in the mind and in the brain and in the body, all kinds of reactions of, I want to feel good. I want positivity. And the subtle message underneath it is, don't look at your feelings. And that when somebody is, and I know because I've been there many times, when you are just absolutely consumed with depression, with sadness, with fear, with self-judgment, self-loathing, self-hatred, when you're filled with these feelings, the one thing you want more than anything is to be given something that will make you feel better, even if it's just for a moment. So when somebody starts talking in a way that disassociates you from your feelings and starts talking about positive vibrations will bring positive things in your life, focus on the positive. This is what you've been doing your whole life. You have been wanting to feel positive your whole life, and here somebody's coming along saying, yes, stop thinking about bad things, think about good things. That is what initially hooks you in. And then if you go to the seminar, then you're surrounded by people who want the same thing. You have somebody who's leading you. Maybe they take you through some breathing exercises. They start giving you some positive feedback. They start hyping up, this. And as a group, there's this energy that comes, and you become part of a group. And you intuitively connect to people's hope and positive feelings. And, people have glazed over eyes, and the music is playing, and the lights are on, and all of that. And then comes somebody walking out onto the stage who says, I am here to give you the message from beings from another dimension. And that immediately puts you in a state of belief and receptivity. And then the message of positivity, you can hear it, because all of a sudden now it's not just another person. It's the being Zohar from Zeta Reticuli, and they are an advanced being. And here's the underlying thing about that. In advanced beings, they don't have problems. It's an enlightened person. And we think in modern times enlightened people are people who don't have any negative feelings. And so you get this reinforcement, and you experience a high. I'm not judging it, I'm just telling you what it is. And then you're told, stay positive. Here's what happens when you stay positive. And it's very easy to stay positive in that experience. And then what happens? You go home, and the high wears off, and all the negative feelings start to come back. But you loved that feeling of being high. You loved that feeling of having some being, some spiritual essence focusing on you. In fact, there was one person that wanted to get into a discussion with me about it. And their response was, I was talking about a specific teacher who I thought was deliberately omitting the truth of this law of attraction, because it would mean that she wouldn't have all these people fawning over her. She wouldn't have this cult-like thing. Anyway, I won't get into that right now. So I was talking about this, and she wanted to get into a discussion. She says, I know so-and-so is real, because when you're there and you hear the message of Zohar, and Zohar, the message is so personal, you know that it's real. I mean, she's just illustrating my point. That this was about her needing to get taken out of herself and to feel good. And because she felt good in that moment, because Zohar or whoever was talking to her directly, because she felt good in that moment, then that's what's most important to her. Not, do you have all the success that you want in your life? Do you have the love in your life? Do you have all the positivity, and do you have everything you want? She's not asking herself that question because she is addicted to the positive vibration. Now, maybe that's not you, but I want you to again ask yourself honestly, are you able to manifest everything that you want just by focusing on positivity? If you are, great. Again, that means that you have the ability, either you have retrained yourself or you unconsciously intuited the law of manifestation, which goes hand in hand with the law of attraction. Congratulations, I'm happy for you. Then you don't need me. You know what you need to do. Keep doing it. If it works, keep doing it. If it works, don't fix it. I fully believe it. If it's not working for you, then I'm not trying to take away the hope. I actually want to give you hope, because the other side of this, just like addiction, addiction has this negative cycle that just keeps making things worse and worse, which keeps you more addicted. So here's the cycle of addiction when it comes to the incomplete law of attraction. You go to the seminar where your favorite law of attraction guru comes out, and she channels the beings Zohar through you, and you open up your receptivity because you desperately want to connect with a loving supernatural force. And you have the positive feelings. And then you go home and your negative feelings start to crop up. You've been told, do not focus on negativity. If you focus on negativity, bad things will happen. Maybe things aren't working out the way you want. Maybe you still have money troubles. Maybe you still have relationship troubles. Maybe you're still alone. Maybe you still have health issues. You start to feel fear. You start to feel doubt. You start to feel depression. No, I can't feel those things. That's bad. That's why I have this. And you go to them and you say, why isn't this working? If you have the guts. Most people don't have the guts, because if you go to the seminar with all the people, the Zoharites around you, and you say to them, this isn't really working for me. Is it working for you? They're going to tell you you're too negative. You're going to feel you're not spiritual. You're not spiritual enough. And so a lot of people just don't even share. This is a sad little secret that they keep to themselves. And they just tell themselves, if I can just focus on the positive. And then you try and you look at everybody and you see all the bright eyes and the dilated pupils and the smile and the music. And so you're going to grab onto there and look at them. Look at how happy they are. And then you hear the testimonials. People come up and they talk about, when I started with the law of attraction and I started following Zohar, my life got so much better, and now I have the car, I have the this, and I have the that, and now you want to be like them. And so what happens? They say, how's the law of attraction work for you? And you say, well, gosh, I feel so happy and my life is so much better now. And you don't tell them the truth, because they might reject you, or they might look down on you and say, oh, it's because you're negative. You're a negative person. Oh, I feel sorry for you. Just stop that. Turn that frown upside down. Come on, you can do it. Go get him, Tiger. So you don't want to be talked down to. You don't want people to think that you're unspiritual. You become embarrassed and afraid to tell the truth of what happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up in a sweat with the fear of how am I going to pay the bills. I'm here to tell you that that is the mistaken part of the law of attraction. It is true that your positive feelings definitely send out a positive vibration and definitely open up the possibility for more positivity to come to you. Absolutely, that is true. It is also true that if you focus on negativity, if you indulge in being angry and resentful, that is going to attract negativity in your life. But here's the missing part of this. It's because it influences your actions. Also, what ends up happening, here's something really interesting. This is another thing that can happen with people who practice the law of attraction and seemingly get worse results. Because for those people who are told that they have to be thinking positive thoughts all the time, what ends up happening is that they shove all of their negative feelings, their bad feelings, their forbidden feelings down into their unconscious. Unconscious means you're not aware of it. Remember, there are 3 minds: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. 99% of the time when people use the word subconscious, they really mean unconscious. The subconscious mind is the part of your mind that holds all kinds of information. Like right now I just realized what my address was. But until I had the desire to remember my address, I wasn't thinking it. I'm now thinking of my social security number, but I don't think about that all the time. My shoe size. These are things that if somebody asks you, what's your social security number? Boom, it pops up, but you're not thinking about it. That's your subconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is the part of your mind that you are not consciously aware of. Now, just because you have chosen not to think about your negative feelings, just because you've chosen not to have your negative feelings, that won't make them go away. It just drives them deep into your unconscious, which means consciously you may not be aware that you have them. But guess what? They are still there. And if we follow the law of attraction, your negative thoughts and your negative feelings are out there vibrating, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And here's how I know that. Have you ever gone to church and seen the crazy church lady the welcoming you into the church? Welcome, praise the Lord, come on in. Have you been saved yet? I know, because I grew up in those kinds of churches, and those were those people, the crazy look on their face. You know, you walk up to them and they've got a big smile on their face, and they talk all this loving talk and welcome, but all of this crazy negativity is coming out of them. It's like you don't want to be around them. It's like, gosh, they're just so creepy. That's somebody who's in denial. They're using religion to deny maybe some very real tragedy in their life. I don't know. But if you do that, if you decide to not have your negative feelings because you've been told they will create negative things in your life, it just gets put into your unconscious mind, and guess what? Consciously you think, I'm focusing on positive things, I'm focusing on love, and you think this is how you come across. Hi, how are you? It's really great to see you. I'm so happy to see you. It's just, I care about you so much, and Zohar loves you, and I love you. But what you end up looking like is, hi. And all of that negativity is coming out. You're not conscious of it. Unconsciously, it's vibrating big time. You ever notice that? Maybe you don't see it in yourself. Listen, we all do it. I'm no different than you, and I know it takes one to know one. So I'm not trying to judge you. I'm really wanting to help you. I want you to be able to find your power. I want you to experience what I am experiencing. And I want to continue to improve my experience, which is why I teach it. I teach what I know so that I can have a better life. So, the law of attraction, when it is taught incompletely, creates a dynamic whereby people are taught to go into denial with their negative feelings. And here's the thing you need to take away from it. Just because you are trying not to have a negative thought does not mean that they aren't there. Let's talk about thoughts for a second. There's a lot of misinformation and confusion in the law of attraction circles about what thoughts and feelings are. And if you go and listen to different teachers, you will get 100 different results on what causes a negative thought, what is a bad feeling, what is a bad thought, what are thoughts and feelings and intentions. And you seriously, go out there and try and find a consensus among all of them. So I remember reading, if I can remember it exactly, maybe I'm not remembering it exactly, but what I remember reading from somebody, just an average search, and up came somebody who was a life coach and talking about law of attraction. And they were trying to explain the difference between thoughts, feelings, and intentions. And from my experience, they had it 100% backwards. This person was saying that thoughts create a negative vibration or something like that, or feelings create a thought. And anyway, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it didn't make sense. It was confusing, and it was backwards. So let me lay out for you how it works. Thoughts are not something that you have control over. You have some control over whether or not you want to indulge in a thought, but a thought that pops into your head, you can't control. And I'll give you an example. Elephant. You just had a picture of an elephant in your mind. And try not to think about an elephant with long tusks. Try not to think about an elephant with one broken tusk. Don't do it. Do not think about an elephant with a broken tusk. You can't control that popping up in your head. You can try and not think about it and think about something else, maybe replace it with another thought. So thoughts are not something that you can control. Thoughts are a reaction to stimulus. I stimulated you with just the word elephant. That's a stimulation. That stimulation created a thought. So a thought is not something you need to feel guilty over. Negative thoughts, negative thoughts. Don't have any negative thoughts. Don't think negative things. You can't control the thoughts that pop into your head. You have control to some degree over the actions that you take, but you can't control the thoughts themselves. Thoughts. Here's something that you haven't been taught, and if you understand this, you'll understand how important it is not to buy into this idea to deny your feelings. Because a thought is almost, especially like a random thought. Like if you're driving around and all of a sudden this thought pops into your head and you're like, where did that come from? It came from your unconscious mind. Because in your unconscious mind you have all of the thoughts and feelings and beliefs that you've been trained to believe, that you have trained yourself to believe for your entire life, and it sits in your unconscious mind, and they're constantly boiling. Now, if you are in active denial, if you have been told that negative thoughts and negative feelings are bad and they'll create more bad things, don't have negative feelings, then you are actively suppressing them. And when you suppress them, they get stronger. And it's like trying to keep the lid on a boiling pot. The more pressure you put on that boiling pot, the more it wants to explode. And so random thoughts, negative thoughts especially, random negative thoughts that pop into your mind are there because there's this boiling, unconscious vat of feelings that haven't gone away. In fact, the fact that you have chosen not to feel them is making them stronger and stronger and stronger. And so you cannot control those random thoughts. Thoughts are the result of stimulus. You are reacting to a stimulation. Somebody says something to you, like I did, somebody does something to you. But when it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and you wake up in a sweat because you're thinking all these horrible thoughts and feelings, it's because your unconscious is starting to release it because you don't have any conscious control at that point. When you're dreaming, you don't have any conscious control over your thoughts. You can't choose to repress them. Your conscious mind is asleep. Your unconscious mind comes to life. And so when it comes to feelings, feelings are the natural feelings that you have to your interaction with life. Somebody hurts you. That's not a thought. You just, if somebody you care about betrays you, hurts you, lies to you, hits you, you are going to have a feeling about that. Feelings are natural responses. You have to have them. If you try to live without feelings, you become dead. I spend a lot of time teaching my students to get rid of the idea of reaching a state of enlightenment. I believe in the state of becoming enlightened, of lightening yourself, of being in the process of enlightenment. Absolutely. But I do not believe there is this static state where you are just enlightened, because it reinforces this idea that feelings are bad and you can get to the place where you have no feelings. Hi, welcome. Praise the Lord. I just have love now. Our ancestors had things that we call now fairy tales. In fairy tales, there are no enlightened beings. In fairy tales, there is the wicked witch and the good witch. There is the wicked wizard and the good wizard. The Lord of the Rings is a good example. You have Sauron, the evil sorcerer, and you have Gandalf, the white wizard. Power is neither good nor bad. There can be evil people with power and good people with power. They're both spiritual. Sauron didn't get to be where he was because he didn't believe in the power of spirit. Very spiritual person. He just used it for his own negative purposes. And that's a very real understanding. And this law of attraction is the same way. There's no such thing as positive or negative. It just is. You have sadness, you have fear. All of these negative feelings serve a function for you under the right circumstances. So let me take that same, I've said it to you before, but I'll say it again. Let's take that same theory. If you have a positive feeling, positive things will come to you. You have fantasized about the perfect lover. You have fantasized about being a millionaire. You have fantasized about having the perfect body. You have fantasized about having all of your hair. And how many of those things have happened? I walk down the street. I live at the beach here. I go down to the beach. I see a beautiful young woman walking around in a bikini. And I have all kinds of thoughts about and fantasies. And guess what? She doesn't come home with me. She didn't magically come knocking on my door and say, hey. Well, not all the time. But so just because you have a positive feeling doesn't guarantee you're going to have a positive result. But what about the negative ones? Now, we have as many negative feelings as positive feelings. You have fantasized about people who have harmed you in a negative way. You have negative feelings about all kinds of things. You have fears. Just because you have a fear, all of a sudden you have a fear that you're going to get hit by lightning, doesn't mean that lightning is going to hit you. You've had a negative thought, somebody has hurt your feelings, if somebody's broken up with you, cheated on you. I know you're a human being, so I know at least within some of those there was at one point a very negative fantasy you had about that person. They're still alive and walking around. There are people in your life that you loved that died. So just having a feeling doesn't mean that's going to manifest. So I'm telling you that your negative feelings, just because you have a negative feeling, doesn't mean it's going to manifest. You can have a negative feeling. So I was trying to tell you, what happens is a thought, a random thought is the result of a feeling. A feeling in your unconscious mind, meaning you're not aware of it, and it bubbles up. It gets the pressure of that feeling bubbles up, and you have a thought, a random thought. A feeling is also a response to stimulus. But a feeling is associated with your identity. If you don't have an identity, you don't have any feelings. In order to be able to manifest anything, you have to have an identity. So if you're trying to reach enlightenment where you have no feelings and you have no issues, then you will have nothing. Because those kinds of people, true enlightened people, don't have an ego. They don't have an identity. And I'm here to tell you that an ego is a good thing. Because you're here to experience this life. And if you're trying to get out of experiencing this life because your experience of life is negative, I can understand that. But you can't do it while you still have an ego. But at the same time, you can't enjoy life if you don't have an ego, if you don't have an identity. So if you want to get rid of feelings, then go into the wilderness and live in the jungle and stay in a loincloth and meditate to become one with the universe and to get rid of your identity. That's the only way out. If you want to have good things in life, you want to have a house and a car and a wife or a husband and family, then you need to have an identity. If you have an identity, you're going to have feelings, both positive and negative. When if you're walking and you step on a piece of glass, you cut yourself. Ow. You don't spend time, years later, thinking about that stupid piece of glass. I hate that stupid piece of glass. You don't take it personally. It's just a piece of glass, you stepped on it. You heal, you sew up the cut, and it gets better, and you forgot about it. You have a scar. Somebody says, what is that scar? What is that scar? How did I get that? Oh yeah, I stepped on a piece of glass. I totally forgot about that. But you walk down the street, beautiful woman in a bikini. Maybe it's your girlfriend. It's your ex-girlfriend. And she walks up and she starts yelling at you and she throws her beer bottle on the ground and a piece of glass gets in your foot, cuts your foot. you're going to remember that scar. 10 years later, you're going to go, oh yeah, that was so-and-so. She was my ex-girlfriend, and she cheated on me, and she did this, and she did that to my foot, and my foot's never been the same. I hate that. I just, What's the difference? Same thing. It's a piece of glass got in your foot, cut your foot. The difference is, one, your ego was attached to what this person did, and you had a feeling, you had a resentment. Your ego was not you're smart enough and you're sane enough to know that when you're walking down and you just step on a random piece of glass, it wasn't personal. So resentments, feelings, negative feelings are because you are just a normal human. You have an identity. And if you have an identity, you can't seek pleasure and a good life if you don't have an identity. Okay? So thoughts, random thoughts come from feelings, unresolved feelings. Feelings come from your ego trying to defend itself. And intention is something altogether different. Somebody said to me that isn't an intention a thought? No. A thought is not something you have any control over. A thought is what pops into your head. You do have control to some degree over how much effort you put into indulging in that thought. But seemingly, if you have a thought that keeps recurring that you can't get rid of, that means it's an unresolved thought on an unconscious level. If you have the ability to consciously change your thought about it, then maybe it's only in the conscious mind. But this is the main thing. You know, I'll end this this video with this little thing. You know, I got an email from somebody trying to ask me if I would sell their manifestation product. They wanted me to become an affiliate, and they said I'll make 75%, which is something like $200 and something per sale. And they wanted me to sell their product on my channel. And I won't lie to you, it sounded really good. Wow, $250, I thought about it. But obviously, number one, that would be bad for my business because that's my competition. But secondly, I looked at it and it's the same nonsense. And I went and looked at this guy's teaching. In one of his videos, he talks about practice this for 5 minutes and it'll change your life. And all he's saying is think about something positive before you go to bed. And then he says the subconscious mind really releases when you're sleeping. First off, it annoyed me that he didn't know the difference between unconscious and subconscious. But the other thing was that the assumption in it is that there is no unconscious, that your subconscious is this blank slate, and it's not. And the assumption was that you could just choose to implant this positive thought, and then when you go to sleep, that positive thought will go and manifest. But that's only true if you don't have opposing negative thoughts in your unconscious mind. And if you have negativity and negative experiences, it's because you have a lot of unresolved negative things going on in your unconscious mind. And just because you try and impose a positive thought on that, it's like trying to put a flower on a bunch of dog poop. The dog poop is still there. You have to clean out the dog poop first. Then you can put the flower on. Then the flower will smell nice. But if you try and just simply put a flower into some dog poop and hope that you're going to smell this beautiful flower, you're not. You're not even going to smell the flower. And so obviously I wouldn't put my name to that product because he's not helping anybody. And then there's his whole sales pitch, which I'm going to study that because, the truth is I'm just too straightforward about here's the truth. And what I don't do is I don't address people's needs and desires and, all the sales stuff that's been taught. And I may start doing that. But I believe in what I'm sharing with you. I believe in what I'm teaching you. And I can guarantee you that if you're able to follow the principles that I teach in this and in the 5 steps to mastering the matrix. If you haven't watched that, go and watch that video. Okay, I'll put a link up here for that video. Go and watch that. And anyway, we could get on and on and on, but what I'm going to talk about now in the part B is that, what is it? Part A, we're talking about how you can become addicted to the hopium, to the hope, and that people are addicted to the hope of happiness, but they're not really able to get anything from that hope, or they're getting limited results from the hope. And just being addicted to the hope makes you feel better, takes you out of those unconscious negative feelings for a brief time, but it doesn't give you what you really need, which is to have an unconscious mind cleared of the negativity so that you can actually use the positive feelings that you have. Positive feelings have to go from your conscious mind into your unconscious, and then the unconscious mind then sends it out, and then the positivity comes back to you. And that can't happen if you're stuffing down all of the negative feelings because you feel guilty and you feel bad and unspiritual. So you have to get rid of that. And let me just tell you that your negative feelings will not create negative results in and of themselves, because you don't have any control over those thoughts that come up, those random negative thoughts. You don't have any control over your natural human response to the negative experiences that you've had. You have to work through them. Change your opinion about yourself. Then you can change the unconscious mind so that the unconscious mind will manifest the positive things and not the negative things. All right? So in part B of this third installment, I'm going to share with you the positive feelings that do work, and how you can take your will towards positive feelings and have those positive feelings create your intention. So go to thunderwizard.com. Look on the right side of the page and you will see Manifestation Mastery Course. Click on that, and that will take you to the part B video of this, and I will get into explaining to you the positive feelings you can indulge in that will result in you manifesting positivity. Okay, so I'll see you in the part B video. Hello and welcome to Manifestation Mastery Course Video 4A. Remember, there's an A video and a B video. In the A video, we lay out the theory, which is very important. You must understand what the law of attraction and the law of manifestations are. And then in the B videos, we talk about the specific techniques and the hacks that we can use to either overcome the problem or to magnify these laws and get them to work every time. That is my goal. My goal is to help you understand how these laws work and to get them to work for you every time. So today we're going to be talking about hypnosis and the law of attraction, self-hypnosis, and positive suggestion, positive affirmations, the subconscious mind, and how this ties into the law of attraction and how it works. So I am also going to get into something very important, which is there are just some people for whom the law of attraction just doesn't seem to work at all, ever. There are some people the law of attraction works every time, and I'll explain to you why it works for them every time. And then there are some people where it works sometimes and not others, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, in video number 5. And today we're going to be talking about specifically how the law of attraction works for some people and not others. And to do that, we need to fully understand what the law of attraction is. So again, what is the law of attraction as it's being taught? The law of attraction says that the universe operates on the law of vibration, and that when you vibrate, when human beings vibrate at a certain frequency, that creates a magnetic attraction, which will bring other things of that same frequency to you. So the idea is that whatever it is that you're intending, whatever it is that you're thinking about, whatever it is that you have strong feelings about, this creates a vibration, and then those things that are of those same vibrations will be drawn to you magnetically. So the idea is, the way that people want to use this is that, oh good, so I am just going to think about what it is that I want, I'm going to add some emotion to it, and I will send that intention out to the universe, and that will draw it to me. And for some, that works every time. I've been in that scenario where whatever it is that I think about manifests. Whatever it is that I choose to intend manifests. So I do know that this works. But I, like many of you, have been in situations where I've tried to intend things and nothing happens, or the exact opposite happens. So we're going to talk about why that is. So today what we're going to focus on is the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. So first we need to understand that we have three minds. This is very important. Most of the time, people think that we only have two minds, the conscious and what they call the subconscious. And they base everything off of that theory. But bear in mind that when you have an assumption, when you have a base assumption about anything, every belief and every conclusion that you make will be a result of that assumption. If that assumption is incomplete or incorrect, then every conclusion that you make will be at best incomplete and possibly completely incorrect. So to really understand how the law of attraction works, we need to change your assumptions. And the first one is we have to assume, we have to accept as a fact that there are three minds, not just two. Your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your unconscious mind. And so we're going to talk about the conscious and the subconscious. Now, ideally, in perfect conditions, what happens is you intend your desire, your reality. When you do that, your subconscious mind, which is also a muscle, acts as a projector, and it projects onto the screen of your reality your subconscious intention, and then it manifests. And that, if that is all that is involved, it will work every time. But we have three minds. We don't just have two. And this is where a lot of people run into a mistake about the law of attraction. If you've noticed throughout this, I have said, here's the law of attraction as it is being taught. I'm doing that on purpose. It's because I am laying the groundwork to help you understand that there are things that are missing in the teachings that you're getting. And what's missing is that people don't understand what the unconscious mind is. As I've said before, 99% of the time when people use the word subconscious mind, what they really mean is the unconscious mind. And even if we go off the faulty assumption that there's the conscious and the subconscious only, then we have a faulty assumption following that, which says, well, as long as we just program the subconscious mind to intend what we want, it'll manifest. That's partially true. That's only true if the unconscious mind is also in agreement with your conscious and your subconscious mind. So this is where things are missing. What's missing is that for people whom the law of attraction does not ever work, it means that they have a fundamental conflict in their unconscious mind. Consciously, they may be very clear about what they want. They may have the subconscious mind completely focused and perfectly aligned with their intention, and they may be shooting that intention out through their subconscious mind. But if the unconscious mind is in direct conflict with that, it will never work. It's like the gasoline in your car. You know, the battery could be working, everything could be working, the car will turn on, but if you don't have any gas, the car won't start up and move. All you get to do is turn on and listen to the radio. You know, it's like you'll be able to turn your conscious mind on and listen to the thoughts in your head and listen to your intentions, but there's no power to fuel it, to move that intention out into reality and to project it onto your physical reality. Okay? So let's talk about first, so you understand how it is the conscious and the subconscious mind work together. I don't talk about the subconscious mind enough, but I'm going to here. So the subconscious mind, like the unconscious mind, responds to symbol and ritual. This is why shamans have this seeming magical ability to heal, to change reality, to alter the laws of reality. It's because they have a very strong subconscious mind. And they know how to use ritual, ceremony, mantra, spells, potions. They know how to use these tools in order to empower the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind needs symbolism and ceremony and ritual. And when you do ceremony and ritual, even if it's, getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth is a ritual. We all have them, even little ones. If you want to call it a habit, we all have habits. Habits are like rituals. Shamans take it one step further, and they understand the science behind ritual. If you're interested in that, please go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at the lower apprenticeship level. That will give you access to how to be, if you want to learn everything there is to know. Well, by the way, you should just go ahead and just go to thunderwizard.com and click on where it says Manifestation Mastery Course. That will give you access not only to the deeper manifestation videos, but it will also teach you how to create a ceremony, a very powerful ceremony. And our ancestors and modern day shamans have access to this science. They know how to program the subconscious mind through ritual and ceremony. Now, you don't have to go that route if you don't want. You can still learn how to do it, but in order to do that, you've got to understand how the three minds work, which is, what I'm trying to explain here. So let me share with you something that happened in physics, a landmark experiment that happened in physics, which completely explains what happens when with the conscious and the subconscious mind. And so this is a physics experiment that was designed, I believe, first in the 70s to try and understand, is light a particle or a wave? And so there's a way to set up the experiment where you send light through, I'm not going to get into it, and I'm not even sure I understand it. But you send light through something, and then what will happen is you will see whether or not it is a particle or a wave. Now, what ended up happening is that they got conflicting results in the laboratory. And what they concluded was that light was responding to the intention of the observer, which meant that if they set up the experiment to see if light was a wave, then it acted exactly as a wave. When they set up the experiment to see if light acted like a particle, then it acted like a particle. Now, the belief system up till then is it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. And so this was an interesting experiment. Now, what has happened is people have taken that experiment and applied it to spirituality to say, you see, the universe responds to your intention. And if you intend something, then the universe responds that way. And we see this with light. Light responds to the intention of the observer. Now, they did this experiment again just recently with a lot more fancy, modern, even more modern gadgets. And they came to the same conclusion, is that depending on how you set up the experiment, if your intention was to see whether or not it was a particle, it would act like a particle. If you set it up to see if it acted like a wave, it would act like a wave. But they came to another conclusion, which was even more interesting for me, which was that light what they found out is that light went back into time and altered what it did in order to fit your intention after the fact. In other words, the experiment would make it look as though light was a wave the whole time, when in reality, as light is passing through whatever little things, filters and whatever it had to pass through for the experiment, it hadn't decided what it was yet until it got to the end, and then it said, oh, you want me to be a wave? Hang on, let me go back in time and change everything around so it looks like I was a wave the whole time. Same thing as a particle. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It goes through the filter, it hits the other side, and then it says, oh, you want me to be a particle. Fine, I'm going to go back into time and change the evidence so that it looks as though I was a particle the whole time. And so it's really responding directly to your intention. Now, that, if you take that and apply it to human beings, it makes sense, right? Okay, so my intention is what creates it. So if I intend to be rich, if I intend to be famous, if I intend to be healthy, if I intend the perfect partner, then it will come to me. Because look, we've seen it in the lab. The universe operates that way. Light does it every single time. So the universe is the same, and I'm just doing that. And yet, for some people, it never works. For some people, it only works some of the time. For some people, it works in the beginning and then stops working. And then there are some people that it works seemingly every time. What is going on here? If this is a law, a universal law that is seen even in physics, then every single time that I think I want to be rich or I want to be, then it should happen every single time. Now, I'm here to tell you that it can do that. I experience that from time to time, more often than not, and I've come to figure out a technique for myself to make that work. So I do know that it works, but I also know that for a lot of people it just doesn't. And that's because there's a misunderstanding. Your fundamental assumption about the nature of human beings is incomplete, because people are assuming that there's only a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Further, they are assuming that the subconscious mind is this blank slate. And if we bring in the unconscious mind, then that changes the game completely. And now we need to understand how these three minds work in conjunction with your intention. So the conscious mind and the unconscious mind are often completely at odds with each other. Remember, it's incredibly important to understand that unconscious means you are not aware of it. And, there are people, all of us have it. But for instance, there used to be a word that we don't use anymore, but people used to use a word for people who were in denial about their homosexuality. We would call them latent homosexuals. And they would consciously present themselves as being heterosexual, and yet they would say certain things and do certain things that they were unaware of. And people would go, I think he's a latent homosexual. What they really meant was that he was an unconscious homosexual, that he didn't realize it, and when he becomes aware of it, And that's because this person, and back in those days, it's a lot more open now, but, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when I was growing up, it was not at all something that was acceptable in society. And so there was a lot of pressure for people who were born that way to suppress that. And so it would go into their unconscious mind. And it was not unusual for, homosexual men, to get married and have kids, and then it wasn't until later on in life that they came out. And you find a lot of them became aware that they had had this their whole life, and they became aware, meaning that it was on an unconscious level and it came to conscious awareness. Now, that is an obvious one because we can understand that according to social mores, right or wrong, that somebody can have personal conflict. So on a conscious level, you can be telling yourself, I'm a heterosexual, I marry, I love women, But on an unconscious level, on a level you're not aware of, you've got all this other stuff going on. Imagine that, and it's kind of a strange way of doing it, but apply that to your intention. Let's talk about money. Let's say that you've decided that your problem is money and you need more money. And so you want to attract more wealth in your life. The law of attraction comes around and, I think pretty much everybody who gets involved in the law of attraction wants money first and love second, and then maybe health third. Usually money is the first thing. So let's talk about money. So let's say somebody consciously, he is aware. I am aware that I want to be wealthy. I want to be prosperous. Maybe they have, you've heard about the guys who put the $1 million above their bed, and they wake up every morning and see $1 million, and they're programming their subconscious mind to radiate that out and to vibrate it, and then they'll say, yes, and guess what? A year later, I was a millionaire. Now, there's all kinds of other things that was going on with that helped create that, which we'll get to later. But for right now, let's just assume that that's the formula. You just plug into your subconscious mind $1 million, and then $1 million will come to you. It will be attracted to you. How many of you have done that and it hasn't worked? I'm willing to bet a lot of you. I'm willing to bet if you're watching this, you've been in that situation where it just hasn't worked for you. That's a false assumption. It's an incorrect assumption. Your assumption is that you just have your conscious intention and your subconscious mind, and if you program your subconscious mind, it'll go out and it'll happen. And that is true if the unconscious mind is along for the ride. Because the unconscious mind is where all the power comes from. Just like I said, the car, you could have the battery working, you could turn on the ignition and the battery will come up, the radio will work, but the car won't start and you can't go anywhere. The unconscious mind is the ability for the car to start up and go. You can program it all you want. You can plug into your GPS where you want to go, but if you can't get the car to ignite and for the engine is to go, nothing's going to happen. And this is what happens with the law of attraction when you try to consciously program your subconscious mind, but your unconscious mind is not going along for the ride. And remember, you're not aware of it. And so this is very frustrating because there's so many people, I've been through this, myself included, so many people who will spend hours programming themselves, putting pictures up, listening to tapes, listening to self-hypnosis, conscious positive affirmations, and it never manifests. If you've wondered why, that's why. It means that on an unconscious level, there is a direct conflict. So we need to understand that the unconscious mind, when you hear me talk about this, you might see your unconscious mind as your enemy. In fact, I get these kinds of questions a lot. How do I overcome this subconscious mind? They really mean unconscious, but they ask me that way. How do I overcome the subconscious mind? How do I overcome blocks? So if you treat your unconscious mind as your enemy, you will lose every time. And you need to understand that your unconscious mind is actually your best friend and your greatest protector. Your unconscious mind is programmed and designed to protect you and take care of you. Now, once it gets programmed with something, it will hold on to it like a bulldog. It will just clamp down and it will not let go. The more that you try and beat it to let go, it just hangs on even harder. So you have to coax it to let go of unconscious assumptions. The only way that can happen is if you become aware. Now you're going to have a lot of feelings associated with it. And so for some people, the unconscious mind can be very frightening. I was on the phone with a client not too long ago, and he came to me for a career consultation. And I know what questions to ask. I usually can figure out what the unconscious conflict is, and I know how to ask the questions So I was starting to talk with him, and I was asking certain questions, and he said, I want to hang up. He said, I'm getting really scared. I want to hang up. And I said, you can hang up if you want, but bear in mind you paid me for this. This is your time and your money, and so if you want to hang up, you can, but just take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. Just let's talk through this, and let's just see what's going on here. Well, I was able to respond calmly to him because I totally understand it, and he was having an extreme reaction to what was going on because my questions were starting to awaken his unconscious mind so that he was starting to become conscious of things. The unconscious mind believes that these things need to stay in your unconscious mind, meaning the unconscious mind fights to keep you from becoming aware of things because it thinks that if you do, it'll be harmful for you. A great example for this is people who have been through major trauma. They've gone through, violence, abuse, wars, been taken hostage, people, people come back from war with, unconscious memories they don't remember big chunks of time. This means that there's something that was so traumatizing that the conscious mind has said, I can't deal with this, and the unconscious mind says, fine, I'll hold on to it. I won't let this come to your awareness. I will protect you. And so when something starts to awaken those things in the unconscious mind fights back. This is why people have multiple personalities. It's because the mind fractures and gives memories to some, personalities and not others. And some of those personalities stay completely dormant. And when they go through stress, then they consciously go away and the unconscious will come. That is an extreme example as well. But we are all built that way. We are built to suppress thoughts and feelings that are deemed to be unsafe. So here's what happens. When you're a little kid, I won't get into all of the psychology behind it, but when you're a little kid, you make decisions about what you need to do in order to be safe. And this goes into your unconscious programming. Your unconscious mind then says, makes these decisions, and then your unconscious mind is now programmed to protect you, and so it's going to avoid all of these certain things. So we're getting back to money. So generally speaking, when it comes to money, if somebody's consciously wanting money and they can never manifest it, it's because the unconscious mind has a program that's completely different. They have a programming, there's somewhere along the line that money is bad, money is wrong, money is sinful, we could get into all of it, but there's some unconscious assumption about the nature of money, and that you made the conclusion somewhere in your past that money was wrong or bad or unhealthy. And now here you are, decades later, you're an adult. Consciously, you go, no, I actually need money. In fact, the more money I have, the easier my life is. I need more money. And so you start trying to program your subconscious mind to intend money. But your unconscious mind has this standing order that says you cannot make a certain amount of money. Past a certain amount, you can't make that, because if you do, it's wrong, it's sinful, it's bad. And so if you try to fight that, no matter how many times you try and convince yourself, I want this, I'm going to be this, your unconscious mind will veto it. It's like the president. The president has veto power. Things can go through Congress, and then he gets it on his desk and he stamps no. He vetoes it. It's dead. That's what your unconscious mind does. And we see this in hypnosis. So let's talk about hypnosis and the law of attraction. So when you see somebody who is easily, you go to a show and a hypnotist magically hypnotizes people. Well, what he's done is he has scoped out the audience and he knows what to look for to see if somebody is what they call suggestible. And a suggestible person is somebody whose unconscious mind is willing to submit to the suggestions of the hypnotist. And, a hypnotist will tell you, I can't hypnotize somebody into doing something they don't want to do. Now, I won't get into what happens over long periods of time, but in a short period of time, that's true. You cannot just grab anybody and then hypnotize them if their unconscious mind is unwilling to accept the suggestion. So they look to see if somebody is suggestible or not. And then those are the ones that they bring up, and then they hypnotize them, and seemingly he has this power. But what's really going on is that their unconscious mind has decided to accept that suggestion. It feels that it's safe. There's usually an unconscious bond. There's probably something about the hypnotist that on an unconscious level they like or they trust, something like that. So that gives, again, this false myth that all you have to do is just simply program the subconscious mind and it'll go out and do it. But it doesn't. So, for those of you who have tried the law of attraction and it has never worked for you, it is because that whatever it is that you're trying to program yourself to do, even if it is the thing that you actually truly need, your unconscious mind, the part of your mind that you are not aware of, that is the engine of your psychic power, it is rejecting that. And it has the ability to reject it for eternity. So what we need to do is we need to go in to the unconscious mind and we need to reprogram it. That cannot be done with conscious affirmations. You can do conscious affirmations for 1 billion years and it will not work. Conscious affirmations only work when your unconscious mind is cooperating. If it's not cooperating, forget about it. So what we need to do is we need to find tools that will go into the unconscious mind and will reprogram it. Now, ritual and ceremony is the most powerful way to do that. So as I said before, go to thunderwizard.com and sign up as an apprentice there. You will get access to all of the private videos that I have, which teach you in-depth, step-by-step methods for creating ritual, and it just gives you a lot of tools. Now, there is one tool that I have found to be indispensable. It is a tool that I use every single day. And here I am presenting myself as this master shaman who's mastered the art of law of attraction and law of manifestation. There is a tool that I use every day that if I don't use it, I can see my ability to manifest starts to fall apart. And that tool is mantra. So if you really want to get a mantra that is designed specifically for you, then my suggestion is to get a Vedic astrological reading. Vedic astrological reading will show you what your past life karmic issues are, what aspects of your mind are working for you, what aspects of your mind are not working for you. And based on that, it's like going and getting a blood test. When you get a blood test, then the doctor knows exactly what supplements you need and what drugs you need in order to fix your issue. And a Vedic astrological reading is like that. It will give you an exact printout of what the balance and imbalance is and where the energy is. And from that, a skilled astrologer can look at that and give you an exact mantra based on all of that, which will act like a magical key that goes into your unconscious mind, and it starts to break up all of the assumptions that aren't working for you, the false assumptions that are actually working against you. Then when you clear that up with mantra and combine that with ceremony and whatever intention you create, then you can finally start to overcome your unconscious resistance and you can start to manifest. So I recommend all three of those things. Go to thunderwizard.com and click on Manifestation Mastery Course, because that will give you access to all of the shamanism videos as well as the manifestation videos, because in the next video I'm going to give you some, I'll actually give you a mantra that is an all-purpose mantra that anybody can use, which will go in there and work. By the way, when it comes to mantra, please do not, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just telling you, honestly, as somebody who spent years, I spent decades trying, just experimenting with mantras. I had mantra books, I tried everything, and I wasn't getting anywhere. It wasn't until I worked with a Vedic astrologer who did exactly what I described, and he gave me a mantra prescription based on me, and he explained to me why it worked, and boom, everything started to change. And now I know why. It's because I have a specific mantra vibration that has to get into my unconscious, and my unconscious vibration is different than yours. So the key that opens up my unconscious is going to be different than yours. Having said that, there are a few all-purpose ones that will work, sort of like taking vitamin C. Vitamin C works for everybody. I'm going to share that in the next video. So I recommend going to thunderwizard.com and signing up for the Manifestation Mastery course. And also, I recommend going to astrology.thunderwizard.com and get a Vedic astrological reading. And I have created that, and I have trained people to know exactly what to do. You can get a reading from me or from one of my apprentices, and they know exactly how to give you the right mantra for you, the vibration that unlocks your unconscious mind and makes your unconscious mind willing to let go of the resistance, and so then you can program it. Once you've done that, when you get your unconscious mind programmed to your conscious intention, then the subconscious mind every single time will work. You can load it with an intention. It will send it out into the universe. The unconscious mind will then act like a vehicle and propel it out there, and then it will come to you. That I can guarantee you every time. That's when the law of attraction works. If you don't have all three of the minds working together, then it's a hit and miss game, and you never know what you're going to get. So I believe in doing, I want to have the ability, I don't want to have any guessing games. And I use tools. I use them. Just like, I go to the gym and I lift weights to get healthy. I have certain things I do to my surfboard. I use certain fins. There's a whole science behind fins on your surfboard. There's tools to make your vehicles work better for you. Your mind, your subconscious, and your unconscious mind are vehicles, and you have to know what tricks and tools you can use to get them to work for you. Otherwise, you're just a blind man with a stick poking in the dark, and you don't know what you're going to poke with that stick. Okay? All right, so that's it. So this is the Part A video. To get to that mantra that I told you about, that all-purpose mantra that works for everybody, go to the B video of this, the Manifestation Mastery Course video 4B, and then we're going to go into some more depth, and I'm going to give you some specific techniques about ritual and mantra and how to create an intention and how to get everybody working together and to send it out. So go to thunderwizard.com and click on Manifestation Mastery Course to hear the Part B of this video. Hello and welcome to the thunderwizard.com Manifestation Mastery Course. This is video 4A. Remember, there's an A video and a B video. In the A video, we look at the overview and the theory, and in the B video, we get into some specific hacks that you can use to access the power of the law of attraction and the law of manifestation and to create the life that you want. That's my job. My desire here is to give you the tools so that you yourself can become your own guru, your own teacher, and then you can go and do it. You don't have to listen to anybody else. Once you've got the tools, you can go do it. You don't need me. You don't need anybody. That's my goal. That's the idea. So, in this video, we are going to expand on what we talked about in the last video. So if you remember in the last video, if you haven't watched it, by the way, go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com and watch the videos from the beginning. And if you watch the previous video, then you know that we talked about what happens when people just can't seem to get the law of attraction to work. What is the deal there? Why can't they get that to work? That for some people the law of attraction works. They figure it out and they go do it, and we've talked about that they have their unconscious mind has been programmed to automatically link the law of manifestation to the law of attraction, that they don't have any unconscious conflicts. They're lucky enough to have been trained, or they have been able to train themselves so that they don't have unconscious conflicts. You just explain to them the law of attraction. They go, oh, that makes sense. They go do it, and everything's wonderful. And but there are people who you give them the law of attraction, and it just doesn't work. I know that there are people listening to me that have done that. You sat on the edge of your bed, you thought good thoughts, you had good feelings, you put up your vision board, and none of it came true. I know I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that happens to. So don't feel bad. It's not your fault. It's because there's some things missing in the law of attraction, and there's some things you need to know, and that's my job. I'm going to hip you to all of that, man. All right, so now we're going to be talking about what happens to people who practice the law of attraction and boom, it works. And things start coming to them, and they imagine things, and they intend things, and they think about the things that they want, and those things start magically coming to them. And then all of a sudden, it stops. Maybe it slows down, maybe it sputters, or maybe it just comes to an abrupt stop, and then no matter how hard you try, you can't even get past where you are. Or sometimes then you start regressing and you start going back. And then for some people, that's what happens. It works, and they make some progress, and then it's like they get pulled back, and they end up right where they were. So in this scenario, we have something similar to what happens to the people who just can't get anything done. We talked about that at length, and that is people have an unconscious conflict. And so remember, what is the law of attraction according to how it's taught? The law of attraction by itself says that everything is a vibration, and that where you're vibrating sends out like a vibrational shock wave into the matrix of the universe. And then what ends up happening is that those things that vibrate on that same level are magnetically drawn to you. Again, this is partially true. This is not false. But what ends up happening is it assumes, as I said, that there's only two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. And if there's only two minds, then the subconscious is this empty, this empty plate, and you can put on that plate whatever you want, and then it'll manifest that. So why doesn't it work? It doesn't work because people who try to intend and nothing happens, it means that underneath the subconscious is the unconscious mind. And in the unconscious mind, they have a conflict, which means, let's say, for example, somebody decides that they want to become a millionaire. And so they put that on the plate of their subconscious. I'm going to become a millionaire. They put it on, they tattoo it on themselves. They put a vision board, whatever it is that they do to keep programming their subconscious mind to manifest $1 million, but nothing happens. The reason is because in the unconscious mind, they have a pattern. They have a belief. Let's say, for example, somebody has a belief that money is evil. Consciously, they really want that $1,000,000. They put it into the subconscious mind. It goes out there. The subconscious mind says, get back here. Because the unconscious mind has to be in agreement. The unconscious mind, as we talked about before, is like the gasoline in the engine. If you don't have the power in your intention, it won't go anywhere. It'll just sit there. And then you end up going, why? I'm doing everything right. I'm thinking about it. I'm feeling, well, it's because you have a conflict. Your unconscious mind is like the president and will veto whatever bill you put in front of it if it doesn't agree. So if somewhere in this person's life as they were growing up, they were told that money was evil, they're not consciously aware of it. That happened 10, 20, 30 years ago when they were a little kid. They don't believe that consciously anymore, but on an unconscious level, they think money is evil. So no matter how hard they try to get that $1,000,000, the unconscious mind will absolutely veto and stop that. It'll prevent that from happening. Now we've got a different scenario. Now we've got somebody who can intend the $1,000,000, and they put that into their subconscious mind, and all of a sudden money starts flowing to them. And now they've gone from, making 20 grand a year to 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, and they start making their way up, and then all of a sudden it hits 80, 90 grand a year and it stops. And no matter how much they keep intending for that $1,000,000, it stays right around, and then maybe they start to lose, maybe it goes backwards. What is happening there? What is happening when somebody starts to see a return on their intention, their positive intention, and then it stops? Well, this is different. It's in the same neighborhood as an unconscious conflict, but it's not a direct conflict. In the previous one, we had somebody who said, I want $1,000,000, and the unconscious mind said, no, money is bad. You cannot have any money at all. So it's just a complete conflict. They're just a total... In this case, the unconscious mind is not in complete conflict. It has an arbitrary limitation. So in the example I gave, they get to around 80, 90,000 a year, and the unconscious mind says, yeah, we're going to stop right there. And no matter what you do, you can't seem to make any, consciously you want it, it worked before, it was really working, why is it stopped now? So the unconscious mind has a limitation, whatever that is. Now, in my experience, again, we're using money because in my experience, for the most part, people come to the law of attraction because, number one, they want money. Number two, they want love. And by the way, I am going to do a whole series on love. So hold on to that. You want to see me get all squishy and gooey, I'm going to do a whole series on love. That's coming up next. Second thing that people want is love. And then the third thing that people want is health. Those are the three things that people come to the law of attraction for. And, friendship and all that kind of stuff. I guess that goes with love. So that's why I'm talking about money. So this person has an arbitrary limit at around $80,000, $90,000. They can't seem to get past that. Why? I mean, it could be anything. It could be 30, 40, it could be 200,000. It doesn't matter. See, here's the thing. It's all arbitrary. All of it. It's all arbitrary. Now, my personal belief is that when you get in touch with what it is that you truly want, then you don't have to be thinking about how much. You don't have to make that decision, because then you end up getting what you want. So I'm going to explain to you how to break past a limitation. It could be, where you live. It could be how you live. But my experience has been that these limitations are completely arbitrary. And the only thing that stands between you and infinity is simply your desire on an unconscious level. Not your need, not your obsession, but your actual unconscious desire. That when you get in touch with what it is that you truly want, that you truly own it and accept it on an unconscious level, there's no limit. No limit to what you can have, what you can achieve, what you can experience. No limit. So, what do you do? What do you do to fix that? So, there's a 3-step solution. I spent all day, I went down to the beach and I spent all day thinking about this. I knew it intuitively, but I want to be able to put it in words. So I spent all day thinking about it. And I came to realize that there's a 3-step solution to this. So the first one is you have to become aware. Remember, things are happening on the unconscious level. Unconscious, what does that mean? It means you're not aware of it. Remember, there are 3 minds: your conscious, your subconscious, and your unconscious. Your unconscious mind is the 99% of the iceberg you can't see. It does everything. It's doing all of the work. I did one of my previous ones, I said you got to activate the subconscious mind, and somebody I don't think had been following me for very long or watched my video said, the subconscious can do everything. No, it can't. The unconscious can do everything. The subconscious can only do what the unconscious will allow it to do. So it's helpful to become aware of the limitation. So, all right, so I got so many thoughts, I get scrambled. So the first step is to become aware of what is the unconscious limitation. In the previous example, in the previous video, we talked about somebody who just has a conflict, who says that money is evil on the unconscious level. Their conscious mind says, I want to be a millionaire. Unconscious mind says money is evil, and they're fighting with each other, and the unconscious mind wins every time. The unconscious will win every single time, which is why it's so important to become aware. This is what meditation is all about. I don't care what kind of meditation we're talking about. Stillness meditation, movement meditation, yoga, qigong, tai chi, mantra meditation. I do not care. Surfing, I don't care what you do for meditation. It is all about getting to the place where you can become conscious of these unconscious patterns and beliefs. What we tend to do on a daily basis is we tend to reaffirm our unconscious beliefs. We all do it. Some people more than others. Do you know that uncle? The uncle that comes to Thanksgiving, who when they sit down and they've had a couple of beers, they start talking about the government and and they start going off on the government and how the government, it could be whatever. Maybe you're one of those people, you go off on the government. On religion, I do that. Whatever it is that they go off on. And if there's some negative thing about what, like my brother used to go off on women. Why women only want men with money, and if you don't have money, women won't want you, and if you that was his unconscious programming. And he kept on reaffirming that for himself. And I'd roll my eyes because it was just like, oh my God, it's the same story over and over again. Well, he's doing that because see, here's the thing. Those unconscious beliefs, patterns that don't jive with physical reality are constantly being challenged by the universe. If our identity is wrapped up in a limitation, in a victim mentality, listen, people get off on their anger. They get off on their anger, they get off on their pain, they get off on feeling like a victim. There's a payoff in it. I won't get into all of that. And so what ends up happening is that the universe starts to try and untangle that, and so what do? They keep reaffirming it. This is why I keep hammering away on some things over and over and over again, is because I am hammering at your unconscious mind. I am trying to do my part to keep reaffirming to your unconscious mind the assumptions that go along with what I teach. And if you can get them in there and absorb them and overcome any conflicts that you have about them and start operating on them, then you can start creating from that. That's really what a teacher is. A spiritual teacher, same as a counselor, as a psychologist, as a mentor, as a life coach, the variations and different things, they're doing the same thing. They are repeating the same message over and over and over again. Politicians do this. I mean, there are some, I'm not going to get into politics right now, but there are some beliefs out there. Pick whichever side you want. You know, the left or the right, it doesn't matter. They both do the same thing. They come up with the catchphrases and they keep repeating them, even if they're completely false. Even if the first time you hear it, you know it's completely false. They keep repeating it over and over and over again. They appeal to you on an emotional level. They manipulate you emotionally and then they throw the same false, catchphrase, and pretty soon you believe it. And that's how they control you. You do that to yourself. Every time you find yourself repeating the same story, especially if it's a whining, complaining story, what you're doing is you're reaffirming your unconscious belief about whatever the heck it is so you can stay where you are. Right? My brother would go off on many things, but he would go off on women. I never had that problem. I've been, up until recently, I've been poor most of my life. And I never had problems finding beautiful, successful women that wanted to be with me. I never had a problem with that. I'm not trying to brag, but I don't have that. I love women. I love being around them. I love giving to them. I love receiving from them. So I don't have that weird thing in my head about women. He does. And I know a lot of other guys that have that same thing. The MGTOW boys. We won't talk about them. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you need to become conscious. How do you do that? We're going to talk about that. So the first thing, you got to become aware. But you can only become aware of what you're aware of. You can't become aware of what you don't know. When somebody says to you, you're like, let's say somebody says, you're a really angry person. Now, if you get that message from 2 or 3 people, you're a really angry person. You're a really angry person. And you're like, I don't feel angry. Well, then something's going on the unconscious level. So when somebody says something like that to me, the best response I can truly give is, if that's true, I'm not aware of it. That's really the only real answer anybody can say about who and what they are. You're a this, you're a that, you're like this, you think this way. If that's true, I'm not aware of it. Like if somebody were to come up to me and I laugh because I'm so far on the spectrum the other way. If somebody were to come to me and tell me that I was that I was a homosexual, I would say, I'm not aware of that. If that's true, I am definitely not aware of that. Now, it doesn't matter what it is. And by the way, I have no issue. We're all on a spectrum somewhere, so we don't need to go there. I'm just trying to give an example. You only know what it is, what you know. So in order to get past a limitation or a conflict, you have to become aware of it. So meditation is the first way to do that. And in the next video, we're going to talk about some specific meditations that you can do for overcoming these limitations. So that's the first thing. First thing you got to do is got to become aware. The second thing you got to do is what happens, again, you're only as aware as you're aware. Right now, all that you know is that you've hit this limitation. It's an arbitrary limitation, and for whatever reason, you can't figure it out. You're stuck at 30,000 a year or 80,000 a year or whatever your limitation is. You're stuck there, and you can tell because you can see in your bank account that that's what keeps coming through no matter what you do. So, and your intention is to become a millionaire, but you're stuck at that, whatever that is. So the only thing that you know for a fact is you've got a limitation that hovers right around whatever that is. Again, you can apply this to anything, love, whatever it is, but we're talking about money because it's a number. All right, so you know that your limitation is whatever, 40,000 a year. That's your limitation, and you don't know why. So you're not able to magically snap your fingers and become aware of, when I was 4 years old, my parents said this, and I came to this conclusion about it, blah, blah, blah. You're not able to figure that out yet. Maybe in meditation one day it will come to you, but for right now, it's not coming. You just know that's my limitation. Well, so there's a hack. that you can use to break that. And what you need to do is you need to find inventive ways to push the boundary and ways that you can hack into that and get very creative to push the boundary, to take risks and push that boundary so that you're able to then put yourself in a position where you're forced to change that. And then what'll happen is, as you go up against that boundary, guess what? You go past that boundary, guess what'll happen? All of a sudden the resistance will kick in. And if you're able to be aware and watch yourself, you will become aware of, oh, that's why. I don't know what it is. But the truth is, you don't even need to know. You just need to know how to push that hack to go beyond. And then, even if you don't become aware, you will have some kind of resistance, assuming that there is that limitation there. Then you'll feel it. Maybe you won't know it, but you're going to have some feeling about it. All right. So we're going to talk about that in the number B video as well. I'm going to give you a specific type of example of how to hack into that and to break through that. Okay. So we'll talk about that in the B video. All right. So that's number 2. So number 1 is you got to become aware. Number 2, you got to hack into the limitation and you got to push the boundary. And then you will have to become aware. And then things will change, will begin to change. Now the third thing, this is probably the most important thing, is that you've got to continue to do some very specific, disciplined actions, hacking into your unconscious mind. This is a constant process. So bear in mind that, the idea that, oh, I'll become aware and then it'll be over. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I'm okay if it does work like that. In some cases, obviously, sometimes it does. But in my experience, most of the time, these unconscious patterns and blocks are very resilient. And see, the thing about your unconscious mind is that the unconscious mind doesn't send you a postcard and say, here's what, it doesn't give you blackmail demands, like in the movies, somebody gets kidnapped and then the kidnapper sends you a demand, send me X amount of money at this and don't bring any cops and I'll give you back your daughter or your son or whatever it is. We think that the unconscious mind is going to do that. We think we're going to become aware and it's going to, and then we're going to know and then I see right through you and we're going to, it doesn't work like that. The unconscious mind is very devious. Bear in mind, once again, the unconscious mind is here to protect you. It's just mistaken. This is a concept that if you can understand this concept, you will be able to work with your unconscious mind, continue through life. I have just come to accept that my unconscious mind will always find some new inventive way to come up and distract me. Now, sometimes it's the same old thing over and over, and I see it, and I feel it, and I've been on this rodeo before, I've ridden this bull before, I know how it works, and I know what to do. But sometimes you end up on a different bull in that rodeo, and you don't know how to handle that one. And sometimes your unconscious mind comes at you and will deceive you. You think it makes perfect sense. Have you ever dealt with people like this? Like people who you can look at them and you can see that their life is just, oh my God, your life is so screwed up and it's so easy. Just do this. Why do you keep doing that? You don't understand. I have to. And then they come up with these crazy reasons that just don't make any sense. And then you just give up and say, hey, it's your life. Do whatever. Well, the unconscious, that's their unconscious mind. So, if you have people like that around you, it's really great because you can see people coming up with these irrational defenses for why they do stupid things. They just keep, I can come up with a few people in my life, but we all do it. So bear in mind that when you start to make advances, you start to grow beyond your limitations, you start to see some improvements, the unconscious mind is going to find some very, very ingenious ways to distract you and fool you. So a lot of times you're being distracted by your unconscious mind and you just have no clue. This is why it's so important, number one, to have a mentor, to have a teacher, to have a support system, to have people around you whom you admire. They say hang out with the winners. If you go and read, books on really successful people, almost always one of their steps is going to be, spend time with people who know more than you, that you respect, and learn from them, hang around them, watch what they do. Having those people around, because they will in immediate, just tell you where you're screwed up. And listen to them. That kind of old school wisdom, of sit down, shut up, and listen. They'll do that kind of thing. You don't know crap, just sit down and listen, or just shut up and watch. That's hard on the ego to hear that, but that's some of the best way to learn. That is why I do that. Like on the question and answers, people will ask questions, and it may seem that I'm being really intolerant and I'm being mean, but what's happening is that I've got a short amount of time. I know what's going on with them. I want to slap them out of it. The limitation on that is that usually those are people who have a lot of unconscious conflicts and issues, and they're just wrapped up in all this craziness, and really they need somebody to sit down with them and spend a lot of time with them, and I don't have time to do that in 30 seconds. But it's also there for you to watch. You can watch and listen and hear what's going on with that so that you can apply it to yourself. Everybody is my teacher. Everybody. People who know more than I do, I listen to them. I listen to the feminine. I listen to what women say. If 3 or 4 women that don't know each other say the same thing to me, I know that's something I need to do something about. Now you find whatever it is for you. I listen to the feminine voice. Again, I love women. I listen to the feminine voice, and if the same thing comes out of 3 or 4 different women, I know that's something I got to do, even if I don't like it. So, the people who screw up, that you just have no respect for, sit down and talk to them. Listen to the garbage that comes out of their mouth. Listen to the ridiculous nonsense that comes out of their mouth when you ask them, well, why don't you do it differently? Well, why don't you try this? Or why doesn't this work for you? Because you'll hear how the unconscious mind is incredibly devious. And even other people can, listen, here's the thing, you're not fooling anybody. You may be fooling yourself, but you're not fooling the rest of the world. You're not fooling the rest of the world, and so listen to what they have to say. Okay? All right. So I'm starting to babble. So those are the 3 steps. When you are working the law of attraction, you've put your intention into your subconscious mind, and you're looking for this, and we're using the example of money. You want to become a millionaire, and you've gone from $20,000 a year, and now you're up to $70,000, $80,000 a year, and then things stop. What do? There's not an unconscious conflict. Your unconscious mind hasn't said money is bad. Your unconscious mind has said this is all that we're going to do. This is as much as I'm going to let you have. So why is that? So we have to become aware. If we can become aware through meditation, and again we'll talk in the B video about some meditations you can do. If you can become aware, great. Then maybe you fix the problem. Second thing you want to do, if you can't, this is true whether you can or you can't. Sometimes you're not. You're just not going to be able to know, I just don't get it. I'm really clear. I don't know why this number I just can't seem to get past that number. That's okay. Because then what you do is there's a hack that you can do to push the boundaries. And I'll talk to you in the next video about how to do that, to push those boundaries that will create a need, which will do 2 things. It will increase your income, and it will make you aware. maybe some unpleasant ways, but it will make you aware of what the unconscious arbitrary limitation is. And then number 3, we have to do continued hacking. We have to do some continued shamanic hacking into the unconscious mind and continue to keep like dough. We need to keeping it pliable and movable and squeezing out the, all the unconscious garbage that's in the way. And we'll talk specifically about how to do that in the B video. So remember, there's an A and a B video. The B videos, you can go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com, and there will be links all over that page to click on, and or you can go directly to thunderwizard.com and click on Manifestation Mastery Course, and the B videos will be available there. There's some other resources that I want to make available to you, which if you can combine all these things together, it just at some point, it's like taking a broad spectrum antibiotic. At some point, it just breaks it all down, and your unconscious defenses will fall. And that is, go to matrix.thunderwizard.com and learn the 5 rules to master the matrix. If you can follow those rules, regardless of what you think, your life will change. Go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and get a mantra ritual, which will act as a virus, antivirus program. It'll go in there and unlock, all that garbage in your unconscious mind. Go to qigong.thunderwizard.com and get celestial qigong. Combine all those things together. I know it sounds like I'm giving you a lot, but listen, I'm only giving you what has worked for me. I have no interest in giving you something that I know nothing about or that doesn't work. So if I recommend something, it's because I've proven it. I'm not telling you to do something I myself don't do. In the B video, we are going to be talking about specific ways that you can do all of these 3 things. Become aware, push the boundaries, force yourself to go beyond your limitations and grow. And 3, the continued hacks that you need to do in order to keep the unconscious mind working for you instead of against you. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.